Chapter 39:14. Without knowing why, just calling him Big Brother Jiusheng was enough to make his heart inexplicably move. He didn't know why it was like this, but he felt that he liked it very much. After dinner, Du Jiusheng gave her a set of clothes to change into and brought her out of the no-man's land. Although she didn't completely understand He Fu Rong's matter, at least she had a very good result from meeting Du Jiusheng. After a 2-hour drive, she arrived in the city. Du Jiusheng didn't say anything. He just left her his phone number and told her not to participate in He Fu Rong's matters. What she saw wasn't the truth, and what she heard was even more false. She didn't understand the meaning of Du Jiusheng's words, but she didn't want to be enemies with her. Luo Qingshen didn't immediately return to the country. Rather, she took a taxi to the hospital to see Wang Mengmeng's injuries. Her phone was already out of battery. The hospital was the closest hospital after leaving the no-man's land, so Lu Xian should have brought Wang Mengmeng there. Facts proved that her guess was right, but she was shocked by the results. "What did you say? Wang Mengmeng is dead?" When she saw Lu Xian, he had just come out of the morgue and his expression didn't look good. Luo Qingshen felt a bit unsettled when she saw him, but she never thought that something would really happen to Wang Mengmeng. Lu Xian said in a daze, "She died when the rescue failed." "How could it be like this? I clearly saw her vital signs when I left. It shouldn't be." The doctor was very tactful. Lu Xian's voice trembled a bit. He said that many of her organs had failed, but what? "But I heard the nurse say that many of her organs were gone." Luo Qingshen was stunned, feeling that Lu Xian's words were too strange. This wasn't a power plane. How could there be such a strange thing? "I feel. Is it because Captain Lu's hearing isn't that good, so you heard wrong?" She felt that something was wrong when she said this. She was clear on what kind of person Captain Lu was. He was always careful when doing things, so if he wasn't certain, he wouldn't use this method to talk to her. Could it be that there was something fishy about Wang Mengmeng's death? Have the others who went to rescue the hostages returned? Luo Qingshen frowned. "He Furong, I didn't receive any news." Lu Xian's eyes flickered. "I think the only thing we should do now is to return to our country." He looked really frightened. Was it because he saw Wang Mengmeng's appearance after her death? She was a little puzzled. She pursed her lips and said, "Captain Lu, relax a little. We carefully investigated the other party's background before entering the no-man's land. Let's wait for 2 more days and see." "No, I can't wait any longer." Lu Xian furrowed his brows and said, "Qingshen, I feel that this place is very strange. I'll book a flight ticket as soon as possible. Let's go back first and discuss further." Luo Qingshen looked at Lu Xian for a long time, before nodding. "All right, listen to Captain Lu's arrangements." But her eyes darkened. This Lu Xian was not like him at all. "Have you found a hotel to stay in?" Lu Xian seemed to feel that he had lost his composure and changed the topic. "Not yet." She shook her head and said, "Captain Lu, go and rest first. I'll go and see Mengmeng." When a person died, only a corpse was left. Chapter 39:15. But sometimes a living person wouldn't tell her the answer, but a corpse might tell her. "Don't go." When she was planning on heading to the morgue, Lu Xian angrily roared out. At this moment, she could see the deep fear in his eyes. It seemed like her guess was right. Lu Xian was this afraid because of Wang Mengmeng's corpse. It can't be that. She didn't dare keep thinking about it. It was probably what Flashu Jiusheng had said to her. Seeing wasn't necessarily true, not to mention hearing it. "I know." Luo Qingshen gave a slight nod. "Then I'll try to contact the people who went into the desert. You rest first." Lu Xian gave a stiff nod before turning to leave. Luo Qingshen watched him leave and decided to take a look at the morgue. After all, she wanted to know what Wang Mengmeng's corpse had become that could scare Lu Xian, who had been investigating cases for many years. The morgue was on the 3rd floor of the hospital. Although this was a world without gods or ghosts, when Luo Qingshen walked into the morgue, she felt the surrounding temperature become cold. There was a faint smell of formalin in the air, and this was her first time feeling that formalin didn't taste good at all. Rather, it made her stomach churn and made her feel nauseous. The morgue was filled with 2 rows of corpses, and there were names hanging in front of the beds. Luo Qingchun turned on the flashlight on her phone and looked inside. After taking a few steps, she saw Wang Mingming's name. Her bed was different from other people's beds. It looked even more flat. It was like if one didn't look carefully, they wouldn't be able to see that there was a person lying inside. No, to be more accurate, it should be a corpse lying inside. She bit her phone and slightly knit her brows before slowly opening the white cloth covering Wang Mingming's corpse. Bit by bit, she opened it. When she completely opened it, she took a cold breath and couldn't help taking a step back. She was used to seeing demons and ghosts. So even if it was something terrifying, it shouldn't be able to cause any waves in her heart. But Wang Mingming's appearance was just too strange. She took a deep breath and shone the light from the phone on her body. His face was still the same, but it was a little sunken, and there was a big hole where his chest connected to his stomach. Inside, there was a dense swarm of insects gnawing. This was not the strangest thing. The strangest thing was that the organs that should have been in the pit were gone. It was as if Wang Mingming was just a shell, and her internal organs had mysteriously disappeared. She had just died not long ago, so it was impossible for her to be eaten by insects and ants. Moreover, the temperature in the morgue was so low. How could the corpse rot so quickly? Luo Qingchun rubbed her temples, covered the corpse with the white cloth, and left the morgue. The sun was shining brightly outside, but she felt a chill in her heart. It was probably an indescribable coldness. Wang Mingming's body could not be brought back and could only be cremated on the spot. The hospital seemed to be avoiding the topic of why her body was in such a state. Just when Luo Qingchun felt that the whole thing had come to a standstill, He Furong appeared. Moreover, she had already returned to his city. This time, Lu Xian could no longer remain calm. He booked 2 tickets to return to City A as fast as he could. Before the plane took off, she sent a text to Du Jiusheng. I'm going back. Luo Qingchun. Chapter 39:16. Du Jiusheng quickly sent him a message. It was only a few times, but it strangely made him feel assured. It had already been several hours since they returned to a city. Her heart was filled with doubts, but she could only wait for He Furong to personally tell them. In the end, what was the problem with this rescue mission? Why didn't the team that went to the no man's land come back? Only He Furong came back. After staying up all night, it was finally time for the meeting the next day. He Furong carefully dressed up and came to the meeting room with thick makeup. The leaders of the criminal investigation team all had ugly expressions. There were close to 20 people who went this time, but only Luo Qingchun and Lu Xian came back. This wasn't a small matter. It couldn't even be announced to the public. On the way to the meeting room, Luo Qingchun met another person, Chen Shi. Chen Shi strangely became very friendly when he saw her and came forward to say, Qingchun, are you all right? I was worried about you. Luo Qingchun slightly knit her brows. Without knowing why, seeing Chen Shi like this, she had a feeling. This was a man who was covered in countless masks, one that she couldn't see through no matter what. Chen Shi. Luo Qingchun pretended to look at him with deep meaning. What have you been doing in America for the past 8 years? Chen Shi naturally never thought that Luo Qingchun would ask this question, so his expression changed slightly. But he quickly revealed a smile. What else could I have done in America? I just went to school and met He Furong. Actually, I always thought that you weren't waiting for me, but I never thought. Pa! There was a crisp slap that landed on Chen Shi's face. Luo Qingchun naturally knew that it wasn't appropriate to do this in this place, but since she had slapped him, there was no regret to speak of. This slap is the end to waiting for you for all these years. The corners of Luo Qingchun's mouth raised into a cold smile. She looked him up and down and said, however, the things that you're thinking about. Maybe it's something that no one knows, but I'll find out eventually. This sentence was quite profound, but there was no change in Chen Shi's expression. But she knew that he understood. The more there was no change, the more it proved that the other party was trying to hide themselves. She had once read this sentence in a criminal psychology book. It was a sentence that would make anyone's expression change. This was because everyone more or less had secrets that they couldn't let others know. When she said this, the expression of a normal person would change slightly. However, Chun-Shi didn't. It wasn't that his heart was empty, but that he had completely covered himself with his thick mask. She was certain that Chun-Shi was not a simple person. Ha, he laughed awkwardly. Ching-Chen's slap was probably too light. I always felt that I let you down. For some reason, when Chun-Shi said this sentence, Luo Qingchun felt that he was serious. I also think it was too light. Luo Qingchun sneered, but I don't want to dirty my hands. After saying this, she turned around without hesitation and walked towards the conference room. He Furong's speech wasn't long. From the first word to the last word, Luo Qingchun felt that it was very funny. Because, Chapter 39:17. Luo Qingchun went through the questions and answers in her head, and they were roughly as follows. What exactly happened to you guys? Explosion. There was a sudden explosion. How many of them are still alive? I'm not too sure. I only feel that the ground is covered in corpses. It's too scary. Where did the ransom go? Of course, those people took it. How did you escape? This last question was asked by Luo Qingchun herself. He Furong originally wanted to answer quickly, but when she saw that it was Luo Qingchun who asked, she paused and continued. I heard that you're Chun-Shi's ex-girlfriend? It was probably because of the heavy atmosphere in the meeting that he Furong suddenly asked a question that made the atmosphere a little strange. The chief superintendent sitting at the top said, This matter doesn't look like much. He Furong's tone wasn't good. She crossed her arms and sneered. How can you be worthy of Chun-Shi? A small criminal investigator? Are you worthy of asking me questions? How am I not worthy? Luo Qingchun closed the case file on the table and slapped her hands on the table as she stood up. For your life, how many people have we sacrificed? Now you're saying that I'm not worthy of asking you questions. You're too ridiculous. Qingchun, Lu Exin hurriedly pulled her and cleared his throat. Since the hostage is returned safely, the rescue plan can be considered a success. Next Success? He Furong sneered. Are you worthy of saying that you succeeded? Please, I saved myself, okay? It has nothing to do with you. Are all of you criminal investigators so weak? You really don't give me any sense of security. Bang! Lu Exin couldn't hold back and slammed the table. He Furong, don't go overboard. Let me tell you, how many people have died to save you? What are you talking about? Lu Exin's action was too big, and even Luo Qingchun was shocked. Wasn't he still trying to persuade her a second ago? Why did he turn into a hot-tempered older brother in the next second? She suddenly remembered that this was probably the reason why Lu Exin hadn't been promoted in the Metropolitan Police Department for so many years. She was really bad-tempered. He Furong was quite disdainful. She looked at her freshly manicured nails and said, Isn't that because you guys are noobs? I was able to return safely because our He family paid the ransom. The kidnappers only let me go. It has nothing to do with you. Luo Qingchun probably saw He Furong and realized that there was such a shameless person in this world. Others had sacrificed their lives for her, but she acted as if nothing had happened. It was really disgusting. The head superintendent's expression was clearly not good, but due to He Tion's identity, it was not convenient for him to say anything to He Furong. He could only try his best to ask about the place where He Furong was kidnapped and what it was like. He Furong didn't seem to be in the mood either. The things she said seemed to contradict each other. The people of the Metropolitan Police Department weren't fools. Naturally, they knew that she was hiding something. But if she didn't say anything, they couldn't do anything. This case fell into an extreme whirlpool. It was like there was fog in front of them, and they couldn't see the end. At this time, Luo Qingchun received a text from Du Jiusheng. Stay away from Chun-Shi. Du Jiusheng. He seemed to feel that these words were a bit cold, so he added another one. Be good. Du Jiusheng. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. I almost missed a chapter. This chapter ends. Chapter 39:18. Luo Qingchun replied with an understanding and put her phone in her pocket, not saying anything else. She knew Du Jiusheng's identity. There must be many people watching him. Sending too many messages wasn't a good thing. After all, they were people of both good and bad. There were many things that they had to be scrupulous about. The police department meeting didn't help this matter at all. He Fu Rong seemed to have complained to He Tian, saying that the police department was bullying people. Although He Tian doted on his daughter, he knew that the police department had suffered a heavy loss in saving He Fu Rong, so he didn't blame them. He even sent them a banner to express his gratitude. But in Luo Qingqian's eyes, this kind of gratitude was too much of a taunt. After all, of the detectives sent to save He Fu Rong in the no man's land, other than her and Lu Exen, not a single one came back. She always felt that saving He Fu Rong in the no man's land was only the beginning. It was never the end. Only the price of this beginning was too big. 7 days later, the police department received a notice from Sea Country that there were many people covered in blood that appeared in the no man's land. The people who passed by immediately sent them to the hospital. Most of them were only slightly injured, and they were quickly sent back to their country. Lu Xian and Luo Qingqian immediately rushed to the hospital, and there were a total of 7 people who came back. One of them was the previous host's best friend, Liang Mu. When Lu Xian led a group of detectives to enter the special ward to see them and ask about the situation, they were stopped by the doctor. It's best if you're prepared when you go in. The doctor's face didn't look good, and there were beads of sweat on his forehead, like the people inside were terrifying. Lu Exen doubtfully knit his brows. Didn't you say that their injuries weren't serious? Their injuries aren't serious, but the doctor said with a sigh. In short, you'll know once you go in. Luo Qingqian heard this, and a deep glow appeared in her eyes. At this time, she couldn't help thinking of Wang Mengmeng. Although it was just a short moment, Luo Qingqian felt her stomach turn. Fortunately, she didn't eat that much for lunch. Otherwise, she might really vomit. Got it, doctor. Luo Qingqian nodded and walked inside. This was a special ward. It faced south and was well lit. However, the faces of the 7 people who were tied to the hospital beds did not look very good. Yes, tied to the bed. Luo Qingqian frowned. Her footsteps were probably a little heavy, so they all looked in her direction. His originally empty eyes became particularly deep, and he looked at Luo Qingqian and the others with a tearing mouth. One of the female detectives who came in with her was really shocked by this scene. She took a step back and shrank behind her. Why are they? What's going on? The female detective Xiao Yu's voice was trembling. Luo Qingqian seemed to be able to sense her uneasiness. In fact, as a criminal investigator, he had seen many disgusting and terrifying scenes. Under normal circumstances, there wouldn't be much of a reaction unless the scene in front of them was too horrifying. Don't be afraid. Luo Qingqian gently patted her shoulder and turned to look at the most familiar face, Liang Mu. Little did she know that the next second, she heard an extremely tragic roar. Chapter 39:19. She twisted her body desperately, trying to break free from the cloth rope that tied her up. Her whole face instantly became ferocious. What's wrong with him? Lu Xian touched the back of his head, looking a little anxious. He even unconsciously lit a cigarette in the hospital ward and took a deep breath. Luo Qingqian knew that he was forcing himself to calm down. After all, even if Lu Xian had investigated all kinds of confusing cases, this time was different. A normal person's mental endurance was probably only to this extent. Luo Qingqian was different from him. The 7 people led by Liang Mu must have experienced something unbearable. Even if they didn't suffer too much physical damage, they suffered an irreversible mental blow. What kind of environment could make them like this? Luo Qingqian didn't dare to think too much. Instead, she tried her best to move forward a little bit to check Liang Mu's physical condition. But she seemed to be extremely unwilling, and the rest of the people in the ward were also frantically resisting. It was probably because the commotion in the ward was too loud that the doctor rushed in. Several nurses injected them with tranquilizers. Only then did they reluctantly close their eyes. Don't stimulate the patients. Their minds are extremely fragile now. Once stimulated, it is very likely that they will die of heart failure. The doctor emphasized again, this is the first time I've seen such patients. They seem to be fine, but the whole mental area has been like a roller coaster. They are completely different from normal people. What? What do you mean? Lu Xian asked in confusion. Can't they be cured? There's almost no possibility of cure. Luo Qingshun continued Lu Xian's words before the doctor answered. She frowned tightly and said, as the name suggests, they have reached the limit of mental patience. In this state, even in foreign countries with good medical standards, they won't live for more than half a year with conservative treatment. Although she was not a very professional psychiatrist, she used to be a doctor after all. Such patients basically didn't exist in the medical field, and the whole direct example was particularly rare. But now there were 7 in this room. Luo Qingshun took a deep breath, slowly moved forward, and touched Liang Mu's pulse with her right hand. Although it was fast, it was still normal. However, she suddenly felt that this pulse was somewhat familiar, as if she had touched it somewhere before. Up and down, it looked stable, but it was very messy. Luo Qingshun's frown deepened. Just then, her phone rang. The caller was none other than Du Jiusheng. Big brother Jiusheng. She picked up the phone and found that the other side was a bit noisy. I'm back. His voice was still very low, but there was a hint of gentleness in it. I want to see if you were a little more obedient. Since that day, Du Jiusheng's heart had always been in a special state of fear. She was in a state of absent-mindedness. She clearly had a lot of things on hand, but she couldn't wait to return home. This matter involved too many people. He was afraid that she would be in danger. He was also afraid that she would not listen to him and investigate on her own. I have no choice but to be obedient. Luo Qingshun walked out of the ward and closed the door. I really don't know where to start investigating in this situation. I'll look for you at the hospital after dinner. How did you know I was in the hospital? Chapter 39:20. Because I know that your people are already back. Du Jiusheng's cold voice slowly sounded. This matter was indeed quite troublesome. He shouldn't have come back this early. But there was something in his heart that he had to come back to her side as soon as possible. So Luo Qingshun had many doubts in her heart. She wanted to ask something, but she knew that with his identity as the EMP's second in charge, it wasn't right to ask anything. However, there were too many doubts in her heart. It seemed that the picture drawn in her mind could be completely connected by a single line. Only this line. No one had told her about it. But Du Jiusheng's response surprised her. I'll tell you in detail when we eat. Can I really say it? At least I can tell you everything I know, but you have to promise me. Du Jiusheng said in a deep voice. No matter what you know, you can't be impulsive and you can't investigate it yourself. This chain wasn't formed in a day or two. It didn't even take a year or two. You mean, the people who planned this started a long time ago? He softly replied. Wait for me to come find you. All right. Luo Qingshun hung up and walked to the window with a doubtful heart. There was a light drizzle, and the temperature seemed to have dropped. Lu Xian wanted to ask for some clues from the people who came back, but now it seemed like he couldn't ask anything. The doctor said that they needed to be quiet and they needed to rest. But how much time did they need to rest? Or how much time did they have left to live? It was already late in the evening. It was already very late. Lu Xian couldn't ask for any clues, so he went back early to organize the case. After all, although they couldn't ask anything, there were still some clues on their bodies. Luo Qingshun was waiting for Du Jiusheng in the hospital. Without knowing why, even when she worked in a hospital before, she never felt that it was scary. But at this moment, when the cold wind kept blowing in her face, she felt her hand turn cold and all the pores on her body stood up. Facing the wind, there was a faint female voice that sounded in her ears. There was a faint sadness in it. Save me, save me. I don't want to eat. I don't want to eat anymore. In the next second, the lights in the hospital corridor began to flicker. Luo Qingshun's eyes trembled slightly. The corners of her mouth twitched, forming a cold smile. This was exactly the same as the scenes in the TV series. When something strange happened, something strange would happen one after another. She put her hands in her pockets, took a deep breath, and walked in the direction of the sound. Zzz, 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 zzz. The fluorescent lights above his head emitted the sound of sparks rubbing together. The sound of her footsteps seemed to echo. Closing his eyes, he quickly determined the direction of the sound. That special ward. The special ward where the 7 people who came back from the no man's land stayed. The sound came from inside. Luo Qingshun stopped, and a cold light flashed in her eyes. Whether the other party was a human or a ghost, she had nothing to be afraid of. However, this atmosphere gave people an inexplicable feeling of extreme limits. It was as if by opening this door, she would see a different world. For example, the next second, she turned the doorknob and opened the door without saying a word. Chapter 39:21. In the blink of an eye, a bloody face appeared in front of her. She immediately dodged and jumped back to keep a distance from the unknown creature in front of her. Taking a closer look, she found that it was the original owner's good friend, a criminal investigator from the Metropolitan Police Department, Liang Mu. Her mouth was full of blood, and she was chewing with both hands in her mouth. Her left hand was almost eaten by herself, and now only the right hand was left with scattered flesh. Luo Qingshan frowned, and a cold light flashed through her eyes. Liang Mu in front of her was almost no different from a zombie in a horror movie. How would a normal person become like this? No, she wasn't a normal person, but an extreme neurotic patient. Generally speaking, this kind of patient had self-abuse and even suicidal tendencies. This was a normal thing in the medical field. However, Liang Mu and the group of people behind her were too exaggerated. Their eyes fell on Luo Qingshan at the same time, and their eyes were fierce. It gnawed on its own hand and attacked her at the same time. This scene was too terrifying and strange. If she wasn't used to seeing bloody scenes, she would have been scared out of her wits. Luo Qingshan took a step back and picked up a nearby weapon with her right hand. In fact, it was just a stick casually picked up from a shelf. It didn't look like much in terms of force or lethality, but it should be enough to deal with these people. However, they weren't zombies in the apocalypse. If she wanted to make a move, she didn't know how to hold back. Before she could even think about it, they were already charging in her direction. They were quite fast, as if they had been professionally trained. They were as fast as machines. Liang Mu, wake up! Luo Qingshan shouted her name very loudly. Her expression seemed to have changed a little. She stared at her blankly, but very quickly, she bared her fangs and brandished her claws and attacked her again. Her eyebrows trembled, and she hit Liang Mu's thigh with the stick. She sat on the ground in pain and screamed at the top of her lungs. Luo Qingshan knew that she had hit too hard. She narrowed her eyes and froze for a moment. One of her colleagues from the criminal investigation team took the opportunity to raise his bloody hands and choke her in the direction of her neck. Just as she was about to retreat, she heard a bang sound. Some white powder appeared in front of her eyes, and the zombie-like, crazy people suddenly quieted down. They still looked like they were in pain, but they were not hurting themselves. When Luo Qingshan turned around, Du Jiusheng pulled her into his embrace. They won't live long. Big brother, Jiusheng? Luo Qingshan softly called out, and her stiff body relaxed a bit. She frowned slightly and said, but from a medical point of view, even if they had suffered a serious mental blow, they couldn't have died so quickly. You think that they only have mental problems? Du Jiusheng narrowed his eyes. They can't live for more than 3 days. Why? Because the organs in their bodies are gradually disappearing. Du Jiusheng took her hand and said, the staff will be here soon. We'll be leaving first. As soon as his voice fell, Luo Qingshan heard the sound of footsteps slowly approaching. She knew that Du Jiusheng's identity was special, so she didn't stay long before leaving with him. Chapter 39:22. In an elegant coffee shop. Although it was a coffee shop, Du Jiusheng didn't order coffee for her. Rather, he ordered a cup of milk. Luo Qingshan's mind was filled with the scene of the hospital. Why did such a normal person become like this in just a few days? They're sick. Du Jiusheng took a sip of his coffee. It's a very special disease. You mean they experienced something terrifying in the no man's land? We didn't kidnap He Furong, and He Furong isn't like what you see. Du Jiusheng said, has your police department heard of the Permitha holy water? Luo Qingshan was surprised before shaking her head. The seniors have been searching for this thing for decades. Du Jiusheng looked at her and said, It has some effects that this world's medical science hasn't researched yet. For example, it can bring the dead back to life and even immortality. Luo Qingchun slightly knit her brows. What does this matter have to do with the He family? Why did they kidnap He Furong? Kidnap? Du Jiusheng shook his head. It can't be considered that. Luo Qingchun was surprised before saying in an understanding voice, "You mean that the He family is also part of the mysterious organization?" "Yes, but they are in internal strife." "Why?" "Because everyone wants the Permitha holy water, but there are only a few clues as to where it is right now." Luo Qingchun tightly knit her brows and rubbed her temples, feeling like her head was burning. She thought that as long as Du Jiusheng answered a few questions, she would be able to understand everything. But facts proved that this wasn't the case. The closer she got to the truth, the more confused she became. But how is this related to their illness? Luo Qingchun took a deep breath. They clearly experienced great pain, which is why they had a mental breakdown. Experiments, Du Jiusheng replied. They should all be victims of experiments. Someone wanted to replicate the Permitha holy water, but this kind of thing that can bring the dead back to life, how could it be instantly replicated? So what is it that made them like this? A mutated iron nematode worm. Du Jiusheng explained. This thing is related to the other shore sacred water temple. The former can save lives, and the latter can only kill without leaving a trace. When Du Jiusheng explained this, Luo Qingchun had already sorted out half of her thoughts. The crux of this matter was the so-called nirvana holy water, but this was a plane without any space. Did such a thing really exist? Have you seen Big Brother Jiusheng? Permitha holy water. Yes. Yes, I have. Du Jiusheng gave a slight nod. It's a very normal flower, but with a drop of sacred water, it can keep blooming. Did you see it with your own eyes? If Du Jiusheng didn't personally tell her this, she wouldn't have believed it. How could such a thing appear in such a normal plane? Yes. Thus, since you've already obtained the Permitha holy water, why are you still searching for it? Furthermore, why are you still conducting such a cruel experiment? Although Du Jiusheng and the ex-secret organization weren't on the same side, the so-called EMP should also want to steal the Permitha holy water. It was something that belonged to EMP. Du Jiusheng looked at her and said, "But it was stolen." "Who?" "I don't know. We're also investigating this matter." Du Jiusheng looked at her and seriously said, "I'm telling you this because I'm not willing to let you participate." Chapter 39:23. Luo Qingchun thought for a long time before finally saying, "Big Brother Jiusheng, have you forgotten that I'm on the opposite side of you?" He was the second in charge of the EMP, and she was a detective from the police department. There were two people who could fight at any time, but now they were sitting here drinking coffee. Perhaps. Du Jiusheng's eyes suddenly became gentle as he looked at her. "But no matter what, I will always protect you." Actually, since the first time they met, they didn't spend much time together. For Luo Qingchun, those were memories from tens of thousands of years ago. Her emotions had always existed. But Du Jiusheng was different. His memories of her almost didn't exist, so why was he so determined to protect her? "Don't you think that since we met, but..." Before she could finish, his face sunk. Du Jiusheng didn't understand why he felt this way towards Luo Qingchun. He couldn't deny that when he first met her, he wanted to kill her. There are some feelings that can't be explained with just a few words. Du Jiusheng looked at her and said, "I always have some strange dreams, and I always dream of you." Although it sounds ridiculous, it is the truth. Luo Qingchun seemed to have thought of something and was suddenly surprised. "So it's like this. Other than the first few times, Du Jiusheng would dream of her every time she met him. Could it be that this was heaven's curtain for her? Pain that she had her own memories in this world, pain that she had to carry the memories that belonged to the two of them, moving forward with a heavy burden. But heaven didn't know that as long as she could meet Du Jiusheng, whether it was the 100 reincarnations or the road of reincarnation, she would look forward to it. "What do you mean it's like this?" Du Jiusheng had a look of doubt in his deep eyes. Luo Qingchun shook her head with a smile. "It's nothing. It's just that I will never stand on the opposite side of Big Brother Jiusheng." Instantly, his brows relaxed, and his lips curled into a faint smile. Good girl. So you're going abroad in the future? I'm not sure, but we need to go somewhere now. What? Let's watch a movie. Du Jiusheng brought him to a private theater where the boss seemed to be very familiar with him. As soon as he arrived, he welcomed him. Mr. Du, are you here to watch a movie? This time there are two of them. My girlfriend. Du Jiusheng took her hand and introduced her. A person who truly likes you is probably like this. He is willing to introduce you to everyone and announce to everyone that you're his girlfriend. So beautiful. The boss smiled and said, What film do you want to watch today? Let's go to beach. This is for Du Jiusheng. When the familiar opening music sounded, Du Jiusheng slowly took her hand. It was probably a private theater, coupled with their identities. At this moment, she suddenly felt as if she was there. It was as if they were born in the Republic of China, as if their statuses were vastly different, as if they would never be together. Luo Qingshun wanted to go back to the hospital to check on the situation after the movie. Unexpectedly, the movie didn't end so quickly. When a movie came to the part where Su and Chong fired the gun, there was a pong sound that came from not far away. Du Jiusheng narrowed his cold eyes and instantly moved in front of Luo Qingshun to protect her. I said it, I want to watch a movie. His voice was very cold, without any warmth at all. It was completely different from the Du Jiusheng who told her to be obedient. Chapter 39:24. Second boss, don't misunderstand. We are just... Scram. It was concise, it was just a single word, but it shocked the other side. No matter what, our ex-mysterious group and EMP are comrades, second boss being this. Fierce. I'm afraid it isn't good. Although they said this, they still took a step back. Don't make me say it a second time. Du Jiusheng said in a cold voice. After all, only your corpses will hear it a second time. The entire theater fell into silence, and the other side didn't dare speak. The person in charge considered it before looking at the people on the left and right. We're leaving. When the footsteps went away, Luo Qingshun slowly let out a sigh of relief. How did they know you were here? Luo Qingshun turned to ask, Are you going to some dangerous place? Du Jiusheng seriously looked at her with an indescribable emotion in his eyes. He slowly approached her bit by bit. She blinked, as if she couldn't come back to her senses. Her eyes trembled in a daze as his kiss fell down. Like a dragonfly on water, there was a bit of a chill, but it immediately left. The Permitha holy water has been found. This thing belongs to EMP after all, so I should take it back. As soon as his voice fell, he took out a delicate box from his pocket and slowly opened it. There was a necklace inside, and the pendant was a small blue bottle. There seemed to be a light blue water flowing inside. So beautiful! Luo Qingshun looked at the necklace and said, Is it for me? He nodded and put the necklace around her neck, helping her put it on. Luo Qingshun touched the pendant, and there was a chill that came from her fingertips. She looked up. You still haven't answered my question. I need to go. I can go with you. No need. He softly patted her head. I will come back safely. She had probably heard him say this sentence too many times, but now she didn't even believe a single punctuation mark. Their encounter here was too short. Both of them revolved around an inexplicable case, limiting themselves to danger. This was a really bad feeling, but they had opposing identities, so he didn't know what to say. Could it be that he had to ask, Can you give up your identity as the second in command of EMP? However, it was probably impossible to find out. It would never be possible. At least before everything was settled, she only hoped that he could return safely. She could also make use of this period of time to do her research on the Permitha holy water as much as possible. After all, she knew too little. Even if she followed him, she would only be a burden to him. I've always believed what you said, and I've always believed that if you died, you must have exhausted all your strength. Luo Qingshun gently grabbed his sleeve and said, Please, you must come back. An idiot? Du Jiusheng looked at her with a pampering look and said in a gentle voice, I won't die. After meeting her, he knew that some plans had to be completed quickly. This was something that had been continuously explored since his father's generation, and it was time for it to end today. Du Jiusheng watched the movie with her and sent her home safely before leaving. The phone is always on, but I don't know if there's a signal. He lovingly tapped her nose. If you miss me, send me a text. Quick transmigration female lead. Male god, keep teasing. Quick transmigration female lead. Male god, keep teasing. Chapter 39:25. Pucci. Luo Qingshun couldn't help laughing as she said, I never thought that big brother Jiusheng could be this narcissistic. He was a bit surprised, as if he felt that this wasn't the same as before. But perhaps this was the real Du Jiusheng. The Du Jiusheng in front of Luo Qingshun. Be good and wait for me to come back. All right. She suddenly found something very strange. It was that the Du Jiusheng in this world always said one word, be good. It was like she wasn't his lover, but rather his family's baby. Standing in front of the door, she looked at the time, and it was almost midnight. The hospital must be in a mess right now. Liang Mu and the others. According to what Du Jiusheng said, it was impossible for them to get any evidence from Liang Mu's group. They were just test subjects. Perhaps the mutated iron thread worm had already drilled into their bodies. It controlled their thoughts and eroded their bodies bit by bit, making them lose the ability to think. Then slowly, waiting for death. This experiment was too cruel, making Luo Qingshun feel that even if the Permitha holy water could really bring people back from the dead, the price of this research was too big. When she arrived at the hospital, the door was blocked. Her phone was out of battery, and she found that Lu Xin had called her many times when she arrived. Where did you go? Lu Xin anxiously said. Something happened. Luo Qingshun naturally knew what had happened, but she couldn't say it. After all, Du Jiusheng was on a different side from them. If they knew that he had appeared here, it would only bring trouble to him. I was hungry, so I went out to eat something. Luo Qingshun pretended to be confused. What happened? Liang Mu and the others are all dead, what? Luo Qingshun was shocked by this news, because although she knew that Liang Mu and the others wouldn't live for long, she never thought that they would die this quickly. Doctor, what did the doctors say? The corpses are very rotten. Lu Xin scratched his head with both hands and said the way they died was exactly the same as Wang Mengmeng. Is that so? Luo Qingshun closed her eyes. After a long time, she slowly opened them and said, Captain Lu, what should we say about this matter? What else can I say? Of course, it's to seal off the news. Lu Xion's tone was extremely anxious. He lit a cigarette and took a deep puff before saying, It's too freaking weird. I've been having nightmares for the past 2 days. It's like I'm being haunted by evil spirits. Lu Xian was an atheist. The fact that he could say something like that proved that he had probably reached his limit. Recently, too many things had happened around them, or perhaps too many people had died. The criminal investigation team didn't have any clues at all. All the clues she had came from Du Jiusheng. Hey, what are you doing here? Just as Lu Xin and Luo Qingshun fell into silence, a familiar voice sounded. She didn't need to turn her head to know who it was. The supporting male lead that didn't exist in this story and made people feel disgusted, Chen Shi. Don't King join the fun here, okay? Lu Xin raised his fist and stared fiercely at Chen Shi. Since your twisted fiancé is fine now, please get out of my sight. Quick transmigration female lead. Male god, keep teasing. Quick transmigration female lead. Male god, keep teasing. Chapter 39:26. Chunshi was scolded by Lu Xian, and his face didn't look good. He put his hands at his waist, and a cold look flashed in his eyes as he looked at Lu Xian. Do you know? There are many people in this world who have no meaning in existing. What nonsense are you saying? Lu Xian raised his fist to hit him. Luo Qingshun didn't have any intention of stopping him. However, Chunshi was one step ahead of him, leaving his attack range. Then his lips curled into a cold smile. There's no meaning in living, and there's no meaning in dying. Luo Qingshun looked at Chunshi. When he said this, his face was strangely cold, like he had taken off his mask and revealed his true self. They left the hospital around 4 in the morning and took a shower when they got home. Luo Qingshun felt that her mind was strangely clear and she didn't feel sleepy at all. Everything became clearer, but she was even more confused than when she was in the dark. Everyone wanted the Permitha holy water, but if they weren't sick or in their twilight years, what was the use of this thing? According to what Du Jiusheng said, this was something that could bring the dead back to life. It didn't mean they could live forever. Not to mention that if there really was a way to live forever in this world, how could no one have discovered it after all this time? Thinking of this, Luo Qingshun couldn't help shaking her head. No. She wasn't worried about this. Rather, it was that they didn't have a mission that they had to complete or someone that they had to protect. Du Jiusheng and her didn't need to get involved in this mess. Closing her eyes, she sent a text to Du Jiusheng. Where are you? When are you coming back? Luo Qingshun, regarding the memories that Du Jiusheng didn't know about, as well as the thousands of years of reincarnation. Even if he was confused, she had to tell him. The chaos in this world was nothing more than the rules that this world should have. Perhaps they were superfluous people in this world, so why would they want to save the world? DDD. Not long after the text was sent, Du Jiusheng replied, Are you missing me? Du Jiusheng, the city was bustling with lights. His originally cold eyes became gentle at this moment. He shouldn't have left his phone on when he was on a mission, but he was always worried that she would look for him or send him a message. Come back soon. I have something to tell you. Luo Qingshun. After she told Du Jiusheng everything, she would definitely ignore his opinions and take him away from this place. Whether it was going abroad or living in seclusion in the mountains, these were not important. As long as Du Jiusheng was by her side, it didn't matter. The darkness before dawn is always too unbearable. Stay where you are and wait for me. Du Jiusheng. This was Du Jiusheng's last reply to her, and he didn't reply to her after that. She knew that he was already on the move. As for what the operation was, she had no way of knowing. Staring at the phone for 5 minutes, Chenggu suddenly remembered that the books he had brought back from the Metropolitan Police Department that day were all about ghost stories. She heard that it was written by a senior detective, and it was the only information about the Permitha holy water. But this thing sounded too mysterious, so no one paid attention to it. When Luo Qingshun found the book, it was already covered in dust. Quick transmigration female lead. Male god, keep teasing quick transmigration female lead. Male god, keep teasing. Chapter 39-27. Most of the records in the books were introductions, as well as legends about myths. The Permitha holy water was ice blue, and no matter what dead thing it met, it could quickly revive the dead. It was also called the immortal water. There were a total of 10 drops of Permitha holy water in this world, and 7 of them had already been used. There were only 3 drops left in this world. As for where it was currently unknown. Luo Qingshun scratched her temple and felt her head hurt a bit. According to the book, the Permitha holy water didn't belong to the EMP. Why did Du Jiusheng say this? She picked up the phone to ask for the reason, but she put it down after a while. If he was in the middle of a dangerous mission, her call could have killed him. Facts prove that a girl's sixth sense was very accurate sometimes. Du Jiusheng was indeed in a dangerous situation at that time. In a cement room in the no man's land, there was a woman in a black cheongsam with her back to them. She was holding a string of prayer beads in her left hand and a half-lit cigarette in her right hand. She took a deep puff. The boss can't wait. He needs to get that thing as soon as possible. Boss. One of them wearing a dark red suit said, There are many people involved in this matter. The police department has already sent large amounts of people into the no man's land. I'm afraid. I don't waste words. I just want results. The woman slowly turned around, and there was a long burn scar on her white as snow face. Her cold eyes fell onto Du Jiusheng as she said, Give me a specific time, otherwise. X organization is also searching. Why don't you ask them about their progress? In the entire EMP, only Du Jiusheng dared to talk to her like this. She was called Oya, the boss of EMP. She was looking for the Permitha holy water for Sea Country's Prince Glazer to treat his legs that had been crippled for 10 years. Jiusheng, you've never looked down on the people of X organization before. Oya narrowed her eyes. What's wrong with you this time? Du Jiusheng narrowed his eyes as a sparkle appeared in them. It should be over soon. After the matter is settled, all the promises can be fulfilled. Oya looked at him and said, although we both work for the boss, we can't be at a disadvantage. I need time. I don't know. Du Jiusheng tightly knit his brows. He's right. The police department has been sending people into the no man's land. This abandoned test station will be discovered soon. No, that's impossible. Oya took another deep puff of the cigarette in her hand. As long as you, Du Jiusheng, this place can't be discovered. In the next second, she paused and said, unless you did it on purpose. Oya had known Du Jiusheng for several years, and she had always appreciated him. Because as long as it was something he wanted to do, he would always succeed. But this time, she felt that Du Jiusheng was avoiding it. As for the reason, she didn't know. After a long while, his cold voice resounded throughout the cement room. I'll do my best. Du Jiusheng narrowed his cold eyes, but I can't give you an exact time to find the Permitha holy water. I'll see you at 6 tomorrow night. The boss will be waiting for you at the cat rule. As soon as his voice fell, he turned to leave the room. Oya looked at his back, and a cold light flashed through her eyes. Quick transmigration female lead. Male god, keep teasing. Quick transmigration female lead. Male god, keep teasing. Chapter 39:28. One of them came forward and said, doesn't the head feel that the second head is strange? Normally, he wouldn't talk to you like this. Oya gave a cold laugh. How could I not notice if you think so? But he's been by the boss side for all these years, so even if I am the head, I can't say anything. Then, it's fine. Oya turned the prayer beads in her hands. The boss said that the only person in this world who can find the Permitha holy water is Du Jiusheng. Perhaps the boss overestimated him. No, he does have this ability. Du Jiusheng drove out of the no man's land. He changed his clothes in the car and headed to a nearby stronghold. He sent a short message to someone. The content of the message was concise and comprehensive, with only a few words. Tomorrow night at 6, cat note. Du Jiusheng, beep, beep. In an instant, the other party replied to his message. Received, you'll see the light soon. Please hurry. Du Jiusheng. He didn't want to wait anymore, or rather he didn't have time to wait. Everything was about to come out of the water. He just wanted to leave this place filled with whirlpools as soon as possible. Before, he had no stories and no lovers, so he was too lazy even if he was alone. But it was different now. He had people he needed to protect. He couldn't keep sinking into this quagmire. At the same time, in the secret organization, the members of the organization were making their final preparations. The man in the lead was wearing a black mask, releasing a chill. Now I will give the final mission as the leader of the secret organization. The man narrowed his eyes and clenched his fists as he said, the Permitha holy water is like a divine water. I've thought about it. If someone in our organization obtains it, we'll keep it for ourselves. See, at this moment, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. The secret organization existed to help Glazer find the Permitha holy water, but half a year ago, the original leader suddenly disappeared. According to the rules of the organization, whoever could find the leader, whether it was a living person or a corpse, could become a candidate for the next leader or directly become the next leader. The person they found in the end was the man in front of them. In fact, one of the more senior people frowned and said, this is against morality. Hee. The man sneered. What morality? Our organization killed so many people and did so many shady things. Why didn't you stand up and say that it was against morality? Or are you afraid of Glazer? Silence, silence, silence. The entire room suddenly fell into silence because of the man's words. The man continued, in any case, I'm not afraid of him. If you're afraid, you can withdraw from this operation. However, I can assure you that everyone involved in this operation will receive double the commission. It was probably because the word commission was mentioned that everyone's expression changed. A few seconds later, a yellow-haired youth stood out and said, I support boss. We've done so much for Glazer over the years, and the commission we get isn't much. This is the last mission. If we get the Nirvana holy water before EMP, we might as well threaten Glazer instead. I support it too. Since it's the last vote, let's do it big. I agree. A dim light flashed in the man's eyes. and the corner of his mouth curved into a faint smile. Transmigration female lead. Prince Charming, keep flirting. Transmigration female lead. Prince Charming, keep flirting. Chapter 39-29. Humans. Sometimes they were just that insignificant. For money, they could give up anything. Truly pitiful. The man left the organization and drove back to his own house. A private villa in an extremely remote place. The front of the villa was planted with purple lavender, and the air was filled with a faint floral fragrance. The man walked forward and pushed open the villa's door. A middle-aged man wearing a white coat walked over and said in a low voice, "Madam is doing well today. She ate some porridge and even took a nap in the afternoon. Only her blood pressure is a bit low." The man put down his coat, and his voice became much gentler. "Then I won't disturb young master. Madam's human albumin has already been used up. I'll go get it from the hospital." "Okay, thank you." The man patted his shoulder and said, "If it wasn't for you, my mother probably wouldn't have been able to hold on until now. Madam was my benefactor in the past. I also hope that young master can quickly find the other shore holy water. This way, Madam's terminal illness will take a turn for the better." The man nodded. His face was slightly tired, and he dragged his heavy steps into the room. "Is it Xiaoxi? Xiaoxi is back." "Mom, it's me." The man took off his mask, and his eyes were filled with tears. Yes, he was none other than Chun Shi. "Xiaoxi." Madam Chun gently patted his hand and said, "Mom had a dream today. I dreamt that my illness was completely cured. Then I went to Europe with Xiao Shi to watch your favorite soccer match." Madam Chin's voice was very kind with a touch of gentleness, but it was a bit weak. "Mom, I don't want to watch some soccer match." Chun Shi tightly held her hand and said, "I just hope that Mom can get better. Then we can plant some flowers in the courtyard and watch your favorite TV series." Madam Chin shook her head and said, "Actually, Mom knows my own body. You don't need to waste your time. A person's life is like a train to death. As long as the scenery along the way is beautiful enough, then there won't be any regrets." "Mom, but Mom knows you have regrets." Mrs. Chin's voice was choked with emotions as she said, "Mom knows you like that girl a lot. You've done enough for Mom. Don't say any more." Chun-Shi took a deep breath and said, "I can't turn back anymore. As long as you're alive and she's alive, everything I'm doing now is worth it." "Do you really think it's worth it?" Mrs. Chin looked at Chun-Shi gently and said, "When your father died in a car accident, you hated doctors, but you were actually very outstanding. If you had studied medicine, you would definitely have been a good doctor." Cough, cough, cough. "Mom, don't say any more. Have a good rest." Chun-Shi's voice was trembling, and his eyes were filled with tears. Mrs. Chun sighed deeply and said, "It's because I know that you often look at her photos. I will definitely get the Permitha holy water. I will definitely not let you leave me, sigh. Xiaoxi, you're too obsessed." Madam Chun shook her head and closed her eyes in exhaustion. Chun-Shi covered her with a blanket and quietly walked out of the room. He leaned against the wall and muttered with his eyes closed, "You're my only family in this world. I definitely won't let you die." Even the Grim Reaper couldn't take his mother away from his hands. Transmigration female lead. Male god, keep teasing. Transmigration female lead. Male god, keep teasing. Chapter 39-30. After taking a shower, Chun-Shi returned to his mother's room to take a look before returning to his own bedroom to lie down. It was very quiet all around. This was a very secluded villa. Before entering the ex-secret organization, he bought this villa. Originally, he wanted to use it as a bridal chamber for him and her. Unfortunately, in this world, plans can't keep up with changes. The bridal chamber was still there, but his old friends were long gone. His days in the United States had always been difficult. He had been frugal so that he could give her a surprise when he returned. In high school, he was the one who chased after her regardless of everything. He was never a person who would have a change of heart. If you like someone, you will always like them. No matter if it was 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, or even 8 years. In these 8 years, he had never forgotten her. However, the things that happened in his life were no longer enough for him to place love as the #1 priority in his life. Instead, it was family. His mother was sick. She had cancer. When she was diagnosed, it was already in the middle to late stages. She couldn't undergo surgery and could only use medicine for conservative treatment. But every medicine has a side effect. These years of chemotherapy made his mother's body deteriorate day by day. She was almost at the end of her life. However, he couldn't give up. Most likely, the heavens pitied him and inadvertently let him know that there was something in this world called nirvana, holy water. It was said that this kind of thing was similar to holy water. It could dissipate all diseases and even bring someone who was at the end of their life back to life. He wanted this holy water to save his mother's life. He also clearly knew that from the moment he made this decision, he and Luo Qingshan no longer had a future. If nirvana, holy water existed, then it would be very difficult to obtain it. The facts proved that this was indeed the case. The more he investigated, the more he found out that the so-called nirvana, holy water, did exist. However, there were many people who wanted to obtain it. Moreover, each of them was a reputable big shot with money and power. It was indeed not an easy task to obtain it. He could only carry out his plan step by step. In the countless silent nights, the thing he was most afraid of was not failing the mission. It was that before his mission was completed, his mother had left him. She was really too weak. It was as if a gust of wind could blow her away. It was as if she closed her eyes in this second, she would not open them again in the next second. Chen knew that he did not have much time left. It had not even been a year since he had joined the mysterious organization, yet he was already trying his best to obtain the appreciation of the leader. It didn't take long for him to kill him. He wanted to become the leader of the Dark Coalition and work for Glazer directly. Glazer was a very cautious person. If he wanted to obtain the holy water of the other shore, he wouldn't just send an organization to search for it. There was another one, and this organization was much stronger than he had imagined. There were all kinds of people inside, especially that man named Du Jiusheng. He always had a feeling that if he really couldn't save her mother, it would be because of Du Jiusheng. Thinking of this, Chunshi shook his head tiredly. He had not had a good night's sleep since the beginning of the project. His heart seemed to be exhausted, and he thought that he probably wouldn't be able to live for much longer. It was just that the promise he made in his youth had never been fulfilled. That girl would always be his brightest sunshine. Chapter 39-31. At 6 o'clock the next night, there was a cat. Glazer liked cats very much. He had many cats. His subordinates always said that his eyes were like those of a cat's, cold and gloomy, but with a hint of laziness. Oyu was standing on the left, and Chun-Shi with a mask on the right. Du Jiusheng was standing behind Oyu with cold eyes. This matter has reached the final deadline, and there are enough clues. Glazer narrowed his eyes as he looked at the two people beside him. There was a dangerous aura in the air. Everyone knew that if they didn't hand over the Permitha holy water today, someone would definitely die here. In fact, Glazer was right. All the clues were very clear. The Permitha holy water belonged to the He family, and He Tian belonged to EMP. He had already found the Permitha holy water a year ago, but he never gave it to Glazer. Whether it was EMP, the ex-secret organization, or even Glazer, he didn't know about this. Just like this, the Permitha holy water had been in the He family for an entire year. No one knew why He Tian needed the Permitha holy water, and no one knew why he had kept it for a year. Not only did he not use it, he didn't sell it to anyone else. It had to be known this kind of thing was like a legend in this world. Since he had it, it was too strange not to use it. This was also the reason why He Fu Rong was kidnapped. But after she was kidnapped, He Tian decided to hand over the Permitha holy water. This allowed He Fu Rong to be scared but not hurt and live. Boss, the Permitha holy water should have been in our hands. But I don't know why, but when He Tian brought it back, it was clearly placed in the secret compartment, but it suddenly disappeared. Ha 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 ha. Glazer broke out in laughter. He suddenly raised his right hand to grab Chun-Shi's neck and said with a grin, "Do you really think that I'm a kindergarten teacher and you're all kindergarten children?" I. Glazer's grip was very strong, like he didn't want Chun-Shi to live at all. We're all people with high IQ, so there's no need to beat around the bush. Glaze suddenly let go of his hand. He stroked the cat in his arms and smiled coldly. It's not that the Permitha holy water was lost. It's in one of your hands. As for who that person is, if none of you admit it. In the next second, the hellish voice rang out again. All of you will die here. As soon as his voice fell, Glazer raised his pistol and shot the head of the boy behind Chen-Shi. For a moment, blood splattered everywhere, and the air was filled with the smell of blood. Hiss! Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Chen-Shi's eyes widened as he watched his brother, who had once fought side by side with him, fall in front of him. It twitched a few times before it stopped moving. Still no one admits it? Glazer leaned back in his wheelchair and said slowly, "It seems that I don't have enough bullets today. You two go to the back and grab a submachine gun. It's too slow to kill them one by one." Du Jiusheng tightly knit his brows as he calculated the time bit by bit. He had been hiding in this place for many years. From high school until now, an entire 8 years, it was all for this day. If everything could be settled, he could return to his beloved girl's side. After all, he always wanted to tell her that they were never enemies. Chapter 39-32. Just as everyone fell into endless panic, one of the ex-secret organization members knelt down and said, "Boss, don't kill me. Boss, listen to me. It's the leader." The leader said he wanted to take the holy water for himself. "We don't know anything. We really don't know anything. Yeah. He said yesterday that as long as he got the holy water, he could sell it for a better price. We don't even know where it is. He must have hidden it." "So it really was you?" Glaze narrowed his eyes, and a cold smile appeared on his face. "It seemed that my bullet just now was off target. It should have blown your head off." In the next second, Glazer raised his gun again and stared at him. "Hand over the holy water, and I can let you go like how I let He Furong go." Chen-Shi clenched his teeth and frowned. "I admit, I did want the holy water for myself. When I used the password to enter the secret room, it was already gone. Because it took time to crack the password, he only entered the secret room this morning. He didn't expect it to be empty. There was no holy water at all." At that moment, Chen-Shi felt like the sky was falling down and the whole world fell into darkness. He used so many years, put in so much effort, and lost so many things. But in the end, when he was the closest to the holy water, it disappeared just like that. No, he couldn't accept it. He absolutely couldn't accept it. Since he could find a way to crack the secret room's password, there must be someone who could do it. But in Chen-Shi's eyes, he had already chosen the best hacker. Who else could be better than his hacker team? "Okay." Glazer took back his gun and narrowed his eyes. "I believe you. So use your IQ to tell me. Who do you suspect?" He naturally believed him. Because if Chen-Shi had already gotten the holy water, he wouldn't have appeared here tonight. According to this, the people who appeared here tonight shouldn't be the ones who entered the secret room to take the holy water. The people I suspect are naturally EMP's people. Chen-Shi narrowed his cold eyes and said, "EMP's people have already gotten the holy water of Nirvana long ago and put it in the secret pavilion, but they didn't give it to you. Shouldn't they be suspicious?" Oh, you respond with a sneer. "I put it in the secret pavilion yesterday. It hasn't even been 48 hours. Are we the targets of suspicion?" Although Oyu was not 100% sure that this matter had nothing to do with EMP, the organization next door was an obvious enemy. She naturally had to stand up and refute such an accusation without any evidence. "The person I'm looking for is the world's top hacker. It will take time to crack the password of the secret pavilion." Chen-Shi looked at Graze and said, "My suspect is naturally the person who put the holy water of Nirvana into the secret pavilion." In the next second, Xiao Ma, who was standing in the corner and wearing black clothes, trembled and knelt down. "It wasn't me. It really wasn't me, oh." Graze pointed his gun at Xiao Ma and said, "So if it was you who took it, then you can say goodbye to this world." When Graze was about to pull the trigger, Du Jiusheng's cold voice slowly sounded, "It wasn't him." Chapter 39-33. There was a giant explosion that came from outside. The police department superintendent Wang Meng's voice rang out. "Everyone inside, put down your weapons. You're not allowed to resist." Other than the people from the police department, there was also Luo Qingshan outside. She felt inexplicably nervous now. She always felt that the more critical the situation was, the faster her heart would beat. An hour ago, The superintendent had come to talk to her alone. The general meaning was that he had seen her eating with Du Jiusheng a few days ago, and had asked her if she knew who Du Jiusheng was. Luo Qingshun already knew that Du Jiusheng was EMP's person, so naturally she didn't dare mention his identity. But facts proved that he wasn't. Superintendent Wang Ming told her that Du Jiusheng was an undercover agent that the police department had placed in EMP for many years. His goal was to find out who was behind EMP and the relationship between EMP and the mysterious Organization X. Other than Wang Ming, no one else in the police department knew about this. But Wang Ming accidentally learned that Luo Qingshun and Du Jiusheng had met, so he couldn't help asking about their relationship. But after hearing Luo Qingshun's answer, Wang Ming was very satisfied. If I told you that Jiusheng isn't from EMP and is from our police department, Wang Ming paused before saying, would your answer be different? What did you say? Luo Qingshun was shocked. You're saying that big brother Jiusheng is from the police department? Yes. Wang Ming looked at her with a sincere smile. If my son was still alive, he would be the same age as Jiusheng. It's a pity. According to the previous host's memories, this superintendent Wang Ming did have a son before. He had died in an accident during a mission. The previous host didn't know what the reason was since she hadn't become a detective yet. My condolences to the superintendent. It's fine. Wang Ming shook his head. Jiusheng is like half a son to me. You suddenly approaching him makes me feel a bit uneasy. After all, before we start moving, once his identity is exposed, he will be in danger. I know, so I just asked you tentatively. Your answer let me know. Wang Ming smiled and said, between the identity of a criminal investigator and him, you chose him. Criminal investigation is just a job. I don't have any grand dreams of catching all the bad guys in the world. I don't have to do it. Luo Qingshun said word for word, but big brother Jiusheng is different. I want him to live. So, Chief Superintendent, can you tell me whether he is in danger or not? I won't, Wang Ming said. Tomorrow night at 6 o'clock will be his last mission. Regardless of whether he succeeds or not, he will return to the Metropolitan Police Department. However, he is your superior. What's so important about that? Luo Qingshun heaved a sigh of relief. As long as he's safe. Standing in front of the cat house, Luo Qingshun tried to calm herself down. She was surrounded by her colleagues. This time, there wouldn't be any accidents. At the same time, the cat house was in a mess. Other than Du, Jiusheng, and Glazer, everyone was filled with fear. Jiusheng, I thought so highly of you. How could you do something like this? Glazer narrowed his eyes as he looked at him with a cold smile. You really disappoint me. Chapter 39-34. Du Jiusheng gave a cold laugh as a sparkle appeared in his eyes. Thank you for thinking so highly of me, but it's a pity that I've never been one of your people. As soon as his voice fell, he pulled out his gun and looked for cover to meet up with his brothers from the police department outside. Glazer's eyes suddenly turned cold as he wildly fired at Du Jiusheng with a submachine gun in his hand. So those who betray me won't have a good ending. Du Jiusheng, you're on the wrong side. Pung. In the next second, white smoke filled the entire Mauka Stadium. Tear gas was everywhere. Du Jiusheng slightly knit his brows and covered his mouth with a handkerchief, waiting for the gas to dissipate. When the smoke dissipated, his eyes were a bit red. When he was about to look around, there was an unknown thing that came out of nowhere that tightly hugged him. No, it wasn't an unknown thing. It was a person. He wanted to end everything quickly, the person he wanted to protect. Big brother Jiusheng. Luo Qingshun hugged him, feeling the warmth of his body and feeling the beating of her heart. Feeling a living Du Jiusheng. She suddenly felt that every time she entered a special plane, she would become especially worried about her gains and losses. She was even worried about when Du Jiusheng would die. How could she protect him? How could she let him live in this world? It was fine even if they couldn't see each other. It was fine even if they weren't together. When she hugged Du Jiusheng, she suddenly found that she was the same kind of person as him. As long as the other side could live safely, whether it was climbing a mountain of blades or falling into a pot of oil, there was nothing to fear. Don't be afraid, I'm fine. Du Jiusheng softly patted her head. Why are you here? It's too dangerous here. It was the superintendent who told me your identity. Luo Qingshan knit her brows. But why didn't you tell me this, making me think that we were enemies? I told you. Du Jiusheng pulled her behind him as he replied. Do you remember the movie I took you to see? Luo Qingshan thought back. Wasn't that the beach? In the next second, she suddenly remembered Su Wenxiang's identity. It seemed to be the case. Can't you just say it? Luo Qingshan pursed her lips and said, It's tiring to guess. Because I didn't want you to come here today. Du Jiusheng gently said, I never thought that Wang Meng would tell you and bring you here. That's because, Jiusheng. When Luo Qingshan wanted to explain, Wang Meng suddenly appeared behind him and patted his shoulder. Welcome back. Du Jiusheng revealed a happy smile. Captain Wang, you're the detective that I've chosen the most. You've been away for so many years, all for this case. Thank you for your hard work. Wang Meng patted his arm again and said, From now on, the Metropolitan Police Department will belong to you youngsters. Captain Wang, there's still a lot of things to take care of after this. I hope. The space between his brows furrowed slightly. Qingshan can avoid participating as much as possible. All right. Wang Meng said with a smile. I never thought that you would care about someone this much. I always thought that you were alone and weren't interested in any woman, so you were willing to take the risk and take on such a heavy task. Chapter 39-35. It was like this before. Du Jiusheng didn't deny it, but it's different now. He held Luo Qingshan's hand even tighter, like he was using all the strength in his life. This operation was very successful. Although Glazer and Oya had escaped, the leader of the ex-Dark organization, Chun Shi, had been caught. Of course, when Chun Shi was brought back to the police department, Luo Qingshan never would have thought that he was the leader of the organization. The moment they brushed past each other, Shi and Chun Shi stopped in their tracks. Luo Qingshan looked at his back in disbelief. How could you? Chun Shi looked at the police officer beside him. Can I say a few words? The police officer looked at Luo Qingshan, and she gave a slight nod. He walked towards her and looked down. After a while, he looked up and said, I've always thought that if we met one day with this identity, what would we say? In the next second, he smiled helplessly and said, But I don't seem to know what to say. You. Luo Qingshan never thought that Chun Shi would be the leader of the ex-Dark organization. But thinking about it, when he first entered the no man's land, his behavior was very strange. Moreover, when he hid in the freezer in the cement room, there was a very familiar voice. At that time, perhaps the person who came in was Chun Shi. I always owe you an apology, Chun Shi said with a bitter laugh. Although I always told myself that I had to succeed, I was already prepared for it. But I'm also prepared for failure. Perhaps I've committed too many sins. Killing people meant being punished. Not to mention that he didn't just kill one person. So why? Luo Qingshan asked. Can you help me see my mother? Chun Shi closed his eyes and said, The doctor said that it should be in 2 days. Is this the reason why you entered the organization to obtain the Permitha, holy water? Yes. Chun Shi nodded and said, I hope you know that I have never betrayed you, whether you believe it or not. This was the last sentence Chun Shi said to her. In fact, she didn't know whether she should believe it or not. After all, the girl who had a story with Chun Shi no longer existed in this world. Even though she had read their story, she could not empathize with them. Perhaps this was the so-called fate. Because Du Jiusheng still had other things to take care of, he didn't come out of the interrogation room after returning to the police station. Luo Qingshan got Chun Shi's address and went to see his mother. Luo Qingshan didn't seem to have any impression of this madam. He only knew that she seemed to be hanging on to her last breath as she lay on the hospital bed. She wanted to see the most important person in her life. Madam. Luo Qingshan sat by the bed and softly took her hand. Those hands were almost completely made of bones, and there was a purple hue to the bones, which made one's heart ache. Shall she? Her weak voice slowly sounded. She wanted to take Luo Qingshan's hand, but she couldn't use any strength. After a while, she gave a deep sigh. I know. You aren't Xiaoxi. Is he? Madam, be assured he's fine. Luo Qingchun softly patted the back of her hand. Madam, sleep for a bit. He'll be back soon. Luo Qingchun looked at the life monitor on the side. Her blood pressure was very low and her heart was beating very fast. She wouldn't be able to hold on for more than a few hours. Chapter 39-36. Luo Qingchun knit her brows. She quickly returned to the police station and bailed out Chen Shi. Although she only had 2 hours, she had to find a way to let Chen Shi see his mother no matter what. Without knowing why, the terrible Chen Shi in Luo Qingchun's eyes had become much bigger. It was probably because she believed his words. Since things were like this, she felt that he had no reason to lie to her. Not to mention that whether a person was real or fake, the eyes wouldn't lie. Luo Qingchun didn't enter the villa and waited for him at the door. During this time, Du Jiusheng sent her a text and asked her a strange question. After Luo Qingchun replied, there was no more news from Du Jiusheng. When she brought Chen Shi back to the police station, she heard that Du Jiusheng was gone. Luo Qingchun was suddenly a bit panicked as she wildly called him. Over and over again, but no one picked up each time. Her heart instantly jumped to her throat because this feeling was all too familiar. How could he be gone? Wasn't he in the interrogation room the entire time? Lu Xian scratched the back of his head and replied, I don't know either. Big brother Sheng should have been interrogating Chen Shi last, but I don't know why he suddenly disappeared. What do you mean suddenly? Luo Qingchun felt that this was very funny. How could a person suddenly disappear? The police station was so tight that not even a fly could fly out. How could he disappear? Have you seen the surveillance? I've already seen it. So, big brother Jiusheng. Where was the last place Du Jiusheng disappeared to? Lu Xian thought about it and said, the archives on the 3rd floor. He said he was going to take something, but when we went to look for him, he was gone. I'll take a look at the surveillance first. Lu Xian was right. Du Jiusheng rarely appeared at the end of the surveillance, and the last place he appeared was the archive. He wasn't someone who would disappear for no reason. Moreover, he knew very well that she would be worried. Even if he had to do something, he would definitely tell her in advance. For him to disappear like this, he must have met with danger. But Glazer and Oya's group couldn't even protect themselves. How could they take Du Jiusheng away? Not to mention that Du Jiusheng wasn't someone that anyone could take away. Standing in front of the monitor, Luo Qingchun fell into silence. For a moment, she felt the entire screen go dark. Something was wrong, but she couldn't tell what it was. His heart was in a mess, and he couldn't calm down to think. At this time, Chen Shi, who was still in the interrogation room, said that he wanted to see her. Luo Qingchun was very anxious. She didn't want to meet him, but Chen Shi said he could provide her with some clues, so she went. I heard that Du Jiusheng disappeared. Just say what you want to say. Luo Qingchun rubbed her temples. I really don't have time right now. I know. Chen Shi said with a nod. Actually, according to what I know, other than Glazer, the EMP group, and us, there's another force that is looking for the Permitha holy water. There's another group? Luo Qingchun was surprised as her back suddenly froze. I'm not sure if it's a group or a single person, but it could be a group. Chen Shi knit his brows. You should know that in this situation, if someone suspects that the Permitha holy water is on Du Jiusheng and wants to make a move against him, that person can't be Glazer, Oya, or me. So who could it be? Chapter 39-37. It had to be said, although whether it was in the past or now, she and Chun, she had always been on opposite sides. However, what he said now was not without reason. There was another force. Who was it? Luo Qingchun left the interrogation room and walked towards the archives room step by step. She suddenly thought of something and took out her phone to see the last text Du Jiusheng sent her. When did Senior Superintendent Wang Meng find her? Why did Du Jiusheng ask her this question? It wasn't because the answer was important, but rather because the question itself was important. After that, Luo Qingchun suddenly heard footsteps slowly approaching. Da-da-da-da-da. These footsteps made her heart a bit flustered, but she forced herself to calm down. Qingchun. Wang Ming's voice slowly sounded as he stood at the stairs, not far away. There had been a problem with the lights on the third floor since a month ago. Sometimes it would turn on, and sometimes it wouldn't turn on. Now it seemed even darker. Captain Wang, Luo Qingshun said with a worried look, I'm a bit worried about Big Brother Jiusheng. Captain Lu said that Big Brother Jiusheng went to the archives room last, and the surveillance ended here, so I can take a look. We've already sent people to look for him. You don't need to worry. Wang Ming looked at Luo Qingshun and said, Did Jiusheng say anything to you? I'm worried that he's hiding something from us and doing something dangerous. Wang Ming's voice was very normal, but without knowing why, Luo Qingshun felt an inexplicable chill coming from it. It was a fear that came from the depths of her heart. Her brain unconsciously began to remember if she had a gun or not. If I knew, I wouldn't have come here to look for him. Luo Qingshun gave a deep sigh. Captain Wang, he'll be fine, right? Relax. Jiusheng has experienced many dangerous things over the years and has never been hurt. This time he disappeared from the police station. I definitely won't let anything happen to him. Wang Ming looked at her and said, It's late. You should go back and rest. You don't look well. I better go to the office and wait. Luo Qingshun took a deep breath and said, Then I'll go downstairs, President Wang. All right. Luo Qingshun walked neither fast nor slow. Even when she was about to reach the stairs, she didn't deliberately speed up, because she knew that Wang Ming had been watching her from behind. The moment she left his line of sight, Luo Qingshun inexplicably felt her legs go soft. A woman's sixth sense had always been very accurate, let alone her. There was definitely something wrong with Wang Ming. Could it be that Big Brother Jiusheng found a problem with him and fell into danger? If there was a problem with Wang Ming, then the whole thing could be explained. According to Chun Shi, there was another unknown faction that was also searching for the Permitha holy water. Let's assume that this faction was Wang Ming. Then why was he looking for the Permitha holy water? Wait a minute. Luo Qingshun suddenly thought of something as the fear in her heart increased layer by layer. If she didn't remember wrong, Wang Ming had a son. But his son had died in an accident during a mission, but this matter was at least 7-8 years ago. A person who had died for 7-8 years. How could the Permitha holy water save him? This was impossible. Could it be that his son wasn't dead? When Luo Qingshun's heart was filled with doubt, she received an unknown text. If you want to save Du Jiusheng, come to warehouse number 285 in the western suburbs alone in an hour. Chapter 39-38. Before heading to the warehouse mentioned on the phone, Luo Qingshun went home and changed her clothes. The necklace she bought online 2 days ago had arrived, and she had received a delivery before leaving. Half an hour later, in warehouse number 285 in the western suburbs, Luo Qingshun had already told Lu Xian about this before coming. After all, this wasn't the time for a person to die alone. She didn't have any powers, so it wasn't suitable. The western suburbs wasn't a remote place, but Luo Qingshun had been looking for warehouse number 285 for a long time. It was very quiet all around. She tightly held the pistol in her hand as she walked in step by step. The warehouse was very big, having a total of 4 to 5 floors. Because it was in a place with dense shade, she couldn't see the inside of the room clearly. When Luo Qingshun walked forward, she could hear the wind in her ears. The warehouse on the first floor was very empty. There was only a large freezer in the middle. Before she even came close, she could feel a chill coming from it. She took a deep breath, and her right hand tightly held the necklace in front of her chest as a cold glow appeared in her eyes. She wasn't afraid because she believed that it wasn't Du Jiusheng inside. Lu Xian's voice came from her right ear. What is it? Did something happen? Luo Qingshun tapped her ear twice to show she was ignoring him. Looking at it from afar, this giant freezer gave people a very cold feeling. But when Luo Qingshun came closer, she found that there wasn't anything inside. There were just white flower petals neatly covering it. It seemed to be a single word. A single Kai. She slightly knit her brows and shined her flashlight upstairs. The wooden stairs seemed to have no end. She carefully walked up to the second floor. The room on the second floor was darker than the first floor, and There was an LCD screen in the middle. When she came to the second floor, the LCD screen lit up. The sudden brightness made it a bit hard for her eyes to adjust. There was a playful voice in her ears, and there was a 5-year-old child on the screen. "Mom, I want to be a doctor when I grow up." "Why do you want to be a doctor?" The kind voice that was not in the frame asked slowly. "Because Granny's health is not good. If I become a doctor, I can treat Granny by myself in the future, and Granny won't need to go to the hospital anymore." A childish voice rang out, creating an incomparably heartwarming scene. But in the next second, a stern male voice rang out. "You're not allowed to be a doctor. Aya, the child is still young. Why are you so fierce? My son must be a loyal and courageous man who serves the motherland and protects the people." The man roared in a rough voice. "I won't allow it, absolutely not." In an instant, the camera went dark. The originally pitch-black second floor suddenly became incomparably bright. Luo Qingxun covered her eyes with her hands. It took her a long time to see the scene in front of her. There were ice coffins all around, exactly the same as the one she saw in the No Man's Land. The only difference was that this was an ice coffin, not a freezer. The person lying in the ice coffin in front of her was none other than Oya, the leader of the EMP organization. When the sandpiper and the clam fight, the fisherman benefits. Whether it was the EMP organization or the ex-mysterious organization, they've been fighting each other for many years. She never thought that it would be someone else's wedding dress. This person, no one in the world would have thought of it. But since Big Brother Jiosheng thought of it, she should have thought of it. Chapter 39:39. Going around the layers of ice coffins, Luo Qingxun closed her eyes, and a cold light flashed in her eyes as she said, "You should come out now." In this kind of empty place, her voice was very ethereal. After a few seconds, she could hear layers of echoes. No one replied, but she could vaguely hear the sound of someone sighing. Luo Qingxun didn't say anything as she quickly ran to the third floor and fired a shot at the window. There was a pong sound as the glass shattered, and a man in a black suit appeared in front of her eyes. The moonlight slowly shined in from the window. She didn't say anything as her right hand reached for the switch on the side and turned on the lights. The man was stunned, but his expression quickly returned to normal. He turned to look at Luo Qingxun. Luo Qingxun also looked at him. Her hands were behind her as she tightly held the gun in her hand. "Qingxun, why are you here?" Wang Ming's expression didn't change, but his voice was filled with surprise. She gave a shrug and pretended to be nervous as she said, "Why is Captain Wang here? Did you also receive an anonymous message?" "No." Wang Ming shook his head and said, "It was Jiosheng who called me and told me to come here. I was also very confused, but I was worried about danger, so I came here alone to take a look." "So it's like this." Luo Qingxun let out a long sigh of relief. "I feel much more at ease seeing Captain Wang. When I was walking up, I felt a bit nervous." "It's fine. I've already looked around. There isn't any danger." Wang Ming said with a serious expression, "Qingxun, come here. I'll show you something." At that moment, Luo Qingxun's mind suddenly felt like it was a lifetime ago. She had already experienced this feeling. There were many things that were about to be settled. "What is it?" Luo Qingxun walked over to Wang Ming step by step. When she was 1 meter away from him, she quickly raised the gun and shot his heart. Her guess couldn't be wrong. It had to be wrong. "Oomph." The other party groaned, his expression slightly unsightly. He clutched his chest and looked at Luo Qingxun. What are you doing? You're wearing a bulletproof vest?" Luo Qingxun sneered. "That's right. How could you not wear one?" She was confident that her marksmanship was accurate enough to hit Wang Ming's heart. Even if Wang Ming didn't die, he wouldn't have the strength to talk to her. "Are you the traitor of the Metropolitan Police Department?" Wang Ming clenched his teeth and said, "Then don't blame me for being rude." The next second, Luo Qingxun raised her pistol again and said, "Is it necessary for you to continue pretending? Didn't you ask me to come here for something?" Wang Ming's expression suddenly changed. He said in a low voice, "Then tell me, why am I doing this?" "Before answering your question, I want to ask something first. Luo Qingshun said through gritted teeth. Where is Du Jiusheng? Give it to me, and I'll let you leave safely. Wang Ming took off his glasses, and his eyes changed. If you let me see Big Brother Jiusheng, I'll give it to you. Luo Qingshun closed her eyes before opening them again. I just want him to live. Everything else isn't important to me. He's fine, he's upstairs. Wang Ming pointed at the fourth floor. Not only is he upstairs, his old boss is also there. Luo Qingshun knit her brows and moved back step by step, heading to the fourth floor. Chapter 3940. There was a large ice coffin around them, and Du Jiusheng and Glaze were chained to a stone pillar on the side. His face was very pale, and his clothes were soaked in blood. He shouted when he saw her, "Don't come over!" In the end, he was a step behind and learned of Wang Ming's ulterior motives too late, causing him to be trapped. You really are skilled. You're all quite good at double acting as spies. Glaze taunted from his side. You never thought of this, right? You finally gave up your life. Du Jiusheng didn't respond. Rather, he looked at Luo Qingshun and said, Don't come over. This place is filled with traps. Relax. Wang Ming's cold voice came from behind. Comrade Luo Qingshun is much smarter than you. You've been in the EMP for all these years. Why haven't you learned a single thing? He seemed to be talking to himself, as he added, A wise man submits to circumstances. She doesn't have the Permitha holy water at all. Du Jiusheng looked at her and slightly knit his brows. Why do you admit to something you don't have? No, Big Brother Jiusheng. Luo Qingshun firmly shook her head. I have it. She took out a necklace with a small bottle from around her neck. Qingshun, sorry. Luo Qingshun looked at Wang Ming and said, I keep my words. Let him go, and I'll give it to you. Wang Ming understood. It really is this necklace. He had done a lot of investigation, and the final conclusion was that Du Jiusheng had taken the Permitha holy water. But the Permitha holy water wasn't on him. He had only met with one person during this time. That person was Luo Qingshun, but he couldn't find any evidence. He wanted to make a move against Luo Qingshun, but he never thought that Du Jiusheng would be a step ahead of him. But in this world, the older the ginger, the spicier it was. He had endured all these years for his son to be revived. Everything was in his grasp. Let go of Big Brother Jiusheng, and I'll give it to you. No problem. Wang Ming threw a bunch of keys on the ground and said, He's very similar to Kai. He's the one who resembles my son the most. For so many years, Shao Kai wasn't by my side, but I could always see Shao Kai in him. Luo Qingshun slowly bent down, picked up the key, and threw the necklace to Wang Ming. Wang Ming didn't lie. The key had indeed unlocked Du Jiusheng's handcuffs. Big Brother Jiusheng, Du Jiusheng softly hugged her and patted her head. It's fine, nothing will happen. When Wang Ming received the necklace, he became extremely excited. He rushed to the largest ice coffin and said with his eyes wide open, Son, Daddy got the Permitha holy water. You don't have to keep sleeping. Luo Qingshun and Du Jiusheng looked at each other. She tapped the earpiece, and Lu Xian's voice came out. You can aim now. When he came up just now, he fired a shot at the window to let Lu Xian and the others find a good position. Although they were on different floors, in this 40% area, the basic positions were the same. Wang Ming's trembling hands slowly opened the bottle of Permitha holy water and poured it into his son's mouth. Luo Qingshun softly pulled Du Jiusheng on the side, and Du Jiusheng immediately understood, moving back a bit. When he took 2 steps back, Wang Ming roared out, No, impossible. Why isn't Shao Kai awake yet? Open your eyes. After taking 2 steps back, he could see the person in the ice coffin from this angle. Chapter 3941. A man who was as thin as a match. Even if he had been frozen for a long time, he was already covered in livor mortis. Quickly go. Du Jiusheng pulled her hand and ran down the stairs. Luo Qingshun felt her heart jump in her throat. Pung, pung, pung. There were gunshots behind them. Du Jiusheng pulled her hand as he said, What you gave him was fake. His son is already like this. Luo Qingshun anxiously nodded. Even if it was real, there was no saving him. This was a person who had been dead for so many years. If this medicine was really that amazing, Einstein could have been revived. Ah! Wang Ming's angry roar came from the fourth floor. Since my son can't be revived, you don't need to live either. All of you will be buried with him. This is bad. When Du Jiusheng's voice sounded in her ears, Luo Qingshun tightly threw herself into his embrace. No matter what, whether it was life or death, she had to be with him. But Du Jiusheng still protected her in the end. There were times when a person's life was very short and they couldn't experience that many ups and downs. But everything they experienced was definitely unique. In a daze, Luo Qingshun seemed to hear the system's voice and that familiar prompt. But when she opened her eyes, she was no longer in the chaos space. Her vision was very blurry, and she couldn't even hear clearly. She couldn't use any strength at all. She wanted to move, but she found that she couldn't move at all. Was this a hospital? Luo Qingshun closed her eyes, and the doctors around her began to check her. Her vision and senses were recovering bit by bit. Her memories were a bit blurry, but a familiar figure appeared in front of her. Where was Du Jiusheng? Where was Du Jiusheng? She wanted to ask, but she found that after she was injected, her vision turned dark again and she lost consciousness. When she woke up again, it was late at night and there were many people around her. She blinked and blinked before saying with difficulty, Jiusheng. Where's Du Jiusheng? In the intensive care unit. Lu Xian frowned and said, You've already walked through the gates of hell. Don't let your imagination run wild for the time being. Hearing that Du Jiusheng was still alive, Luo Qingshun let out a long sigh of relief. At least he was still alive. At least she had a chance to see him again. Luo Qingshun was no longer sleepy as she lay on the bed. She was waiting for herself to regain her strength so that she could walk from her ward to his. However, time did not seem to wait for her. In just one night, she had already heard the news of his cardiac arrest 5 times in his ward. Luo Qingshun felt that she had no more time to wait. Enduring the pain in his body, he rushed out of the hospital and ran all the way home to grab something. She didn't know if she could save Du Jiusheng, but at least, if it didn't work, she didn't want to be alone in this life. Without Nian, she had nothing to worry about. It was just a strange and bizarre incident, and he didn't seem to have suffered any pain. Just treat it as a side story with Mr. Du Jiusheng. He hoped that the next time they met, there would be a happy ending. Standing in the hospital room, Luo Qingshun felt like she was using her last breath to walk to Du Jiusheng's side. There was a phrase that suddenly rang in her mind. The other shore flower blooms and the world dies. Some 1,000 years of memories began to fill her mind. She opened the small bottle and dripped the so-called other shore sacred water onto Du Jiusheng's lips. The air seemed to be filled with a faint fragrance. In the next second, her vision turned black, and she fell into a deep sleep. When she opened her eyes, she was stunned. She was the chaos space. Welcome back, host. Chapter 3942. Do you know? Some people were destined to change over time. For example, Du Jiusheng, who came back from the gates of hell. He came back, but the person he loved the most couldn't come back. It was like their story never had a beginning, but it had already ended. A city was still a city, but there was a mysterious organization called Mu Qing in the past few years. No one knew when this organization existed. They just knew that they were looking for something. When they were looking for this thing, they were still desperately researching it. Every day, every month, every year, it went back and forth, never stopping. In a luxurious room, a man was standing in front of the window on the 33rd floor with his hands crossed and a serious look on his face. A man and a woman walked in. Both of them had a serious look on their faces. The 21st experiment failed. Do you want to continue, Ninth God? The man asked. Continue. The materials in the north have been gathered. Do you want to continue? Du Jiusheng slowly turned around, and his dark as ink eyes had a cold glow. He raised the gun in his right hand and directly shot the woman in the head. Ninth God. The man was shocked as his face turned pale. He kneeled down with a dong sound. This subordinate's words are all true, really. There isn't a single lie. Du Jiusheng's cold voice slowly rang out. You don't have it, but that doesn't mean she doesn't. It's impossible to gather all the materials in the north. She is lying. So it's like this. The man let out a long sigh. This was the 5th year since Mu Qing was established. This man named Du Jiusheng had already become the absolute ruler of a city, whether it was the underworld or the legal world. The police wanted to catch him, but they never had any evidence. Every time he came to the police station, there would be a cold glow in his eyes, but there would always be a smile on his lips. That was a smile that was close to taunting. 5 years, an entire 5 years, he had never forgotten what had happened that night. He didn't know if it was the Permitha holy water that saved him, or if it was her falling figure that made his soul that wanted to leave his body return to his body. In short, he woke up and she closed her eyes forever. You don't have to report your failures in the future. Du Jiusheng narrowed his cold eyes. This oath, unless it succeeds, it will continue forever. Yes, deal with it. I won't be at the base tonight. Du Jiusheng took a step forward, and his expression didn't change at all, but no one knew how heavy his heart was. It had been 5 years since she left him. Without any rescue, without any hope, she left him just like that. Perhaps such an ending was worse than death. It was an underground ice cellar. When they entered, the temperature was -12 degrees Celsius. Du Jiusheng was wearing very thin clothes, but he didn't feel cold at all. Her body was placed in the center of the underground ice cellar, surrounded by flowers covered in frost. Against the icy blue light, it looked exceptionally beautiful. Du Jiusheng came forward step by step and squatted down in front of her ice coffin. She closed her eyes, her skin as white as snow. At first glance, she looked like a sleeping beauty in a Western story. He just fell asleep peacefully. Yes, she just fell asleep quietly. Chapter 39:43. I've been busy these past 2 days, so I haven't been able to see you. You won't be angry, right? Du Jiusheng slowly raised his right hand and tapped her nose. I've worked so hard over the years, and I've finally seen a bit of progress. Don't worry, you'll be back by my side soon. They went from meeting to knowing each other. It was like the story had just begun, like they had never enjoyed happiness together. But God was so cruel, directly taking her away from his side. He didn't even give him a chance to turn back. No, how could he allow this to happen? No, it was definitely impossible. Qingqin, do you know? Mu Qing's organization has come to this point. I can suddenly understand why Wang Ming set up this trap, desperately trying to save his son. Because everyone has a so-called obsession in their heart, and my obsession is you. Du Jiusheng said this as his eyes couldn't help turning red. Everyone thought that for a cold man like him who killed people like scything flax, it was impossible for him to cry. But the fact was that he had never cried since he came to this ice cellar. It was said that men had gold under their knees and men didn't cry easily. But the sadness in his heart made it so that he couldn't control himself. He had done so many heartless things, killed so many people, and ruined so many people's happiness. He only had one goal, which was to wake up Luo Qingchun. In the past, he felt that after entering the police department, for the country and the people, it didn't matter even if he had to sacrifice his life. Because he had nothing to worry about, he didn't fear death. But now he suddenly felt that everything he did before was a joke. He protected those people who weren't related to him, and in the end, he lost the most important person to him. Based on what? If God gave him a choice again, he would definitely choose to give the Permitha holy water to Glazer. Then he would resign as a police officer and hide his identity with her. It didn't matter even if he had a want of the world. But it took him too long to realize this. It was so long that she had left him for 5 years, but every night he would dream of her. He dreamed of their first meeting. He dreamed of her sparkling eyes, calling him Big Brother Jiusheng. He dreamed of her blushing cheeks when she said that she liked him. Every time he dreamed of such a scene, even if he knew that he was in a dream, he still hoped that he wouldn't have to wake up. How nice would it be to sleep forever? He leaned against her ice coffin and rambled on about some of the things that had happened recently. He didn't know if she could hear him, but it seemed that as long as he said it out loud, his heart would feel a lot more at ease. Perhaps it was because she was by his side, coming out of the underground ice cellar. He drove to the largest experimental base. This was the place he used to research the Permitha holy water. Back then, Wang Ming's efforts were not in vain. He had left behind some clues. Du Jiusheng followed his clues and improved step by step, although the most recent experiment still failed. However, he knew very well that he was not far from success. However, this not far meant that he had to wait for another 10 years. He became more and more irritable, almost to the point of insanity. Gradually, he killed more and more people, and the methods he used became more and more extreme. But he was really smart, and the police still couldn't find any evidence to arrest him. Chapter 3944. Even if everyone in the Metropolitan Police Department knew that he was the main culprit of these accidents, they also knew that Du Jiusheng was the same as Wang Ming, falling into a demonic trap. It was as if he had drawn a circle around himself, trapping himself in it endlessly. It was still a 33-story building, but it wasn't the same room as before. It was said that the older a person was, the calmer their mind would be, but he wasn't the same. As time passed, he became more and more violent, more and more eccentric. He killed more and more people. Sometimes just because of a single sentence, because of a small matter, he didn't hesitate to kill people. He clearly knew that he could let them go, but he wouldn't. There was a saying in the Muqing organization, "Hell is empty and the devil is in the human world." He admitted that he was a devil. He admitted that he was a ruthless person. It didn't matter. He didn't care about going to hell, as long as the person he cared about could live. So what if he went to hell? So what if he never reincarnated? He didn't care about this. He never cared. There was no lack of good people in this world, but good people would always die more than bad people. When he was in deep thought, someone suddenly shouted, "Ninth God, it's a success, we've succeeded." Du Jiusheng felt his heart skip a beat, and his dark eyes finally lit up. After taking the Permitha holy water that he had studied for 15 years, he came to the underground ice cellar again. She didn't seem to have changed after all these years. Her skin was still very white. When she silently laid there, it was like she was sleeping. But he was different. He had already become much older. He was clearly in his 30s, but he already had white hair. He gently poured the Permitha holy water in her mouth, just like what she did to him 15 years ago. The only difference was that Luo Qingchun didn't wake up like him. Dee-da, 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 dee-da. Time ticked by, but she was still lying there quietly, showing no signs of waking up. Du Jiusheng panicked. At that moment, it was like he saw the same expression as Wang Ming in the past. No, impossible, definitely impossible. He screamed at the top of his lungs like a child. His hands trembled endlessly as he poured the water from the bottle into Luo Qingchun's mouth. 5 minutes passed, 10 minutes passed, half an hour passed. There was still no reaction from her. After 15 years, the experiment seemed to have succeeded, but the effect of the so-called Permitha holy water had failed. Despair, endless despair. Perhaps the Permitha holy water had always been a myth. After all, no one had ever been able to use it to save someone. But he couldn't accept it. He really couldn't accept it. Waves of pain came from his heart, and some strange images began to flash before his eyes. His moon-white robe suddenly turned into a set of dark red armor. Blood dyed his clothes red, and his gentle eyes were filled with killing intent. He killed 1, 2, 100, 200, 1,000, 2,000. He didn't seem to know why he killed so many people. He only knew that he was in as much pain as he was now. Only when his heart stopped beating did the pain slowly dissipate. He knew that he was dead. He would fall into hell like this. At least he could see her one last time in hell. That it didn't matter if he reincarnated forever. It was fine as long as he could see her once more. End. Chapter 3945. This world was very dark, and then you came, bringing the stars and moon to light up the night. Du Jiusheng. My story, there was no beginning, no ending, and no brilliance. But I clearly had nothing, but I was greedy for this world because this world had you. From the first time we met to the first time we parted, it didn't seem like much time had passed. I didn't say anything, but I could see that your eyes were filled with me. I didn't know why, but I liked this feeling very much. I like being able to keep having these eyes. You thought that we were on opposite sides, but we were never on the same side. But you carefully protected my identity and told me that we weren't enemies no matter what. At that time, I really wanted to pull you into my arms and tell you that we weren't enemies. Only my identity wasn't clear, and I couldn't make any promises. But I did regret it. If I knew that I would love you this much, I would have chosen to leave EMP and the superintendent. I wasn't willing to be a double agent. I just wanted to be by your side and wanted the world with you. It was a pity that we didn't have that chance later on, even if I used all my strength. The day you left, there was a large amount of rain. The doctor said that you were heavily injured and adding in the severe infection from leaving the sterile room. It caused your heart to stop. The moment my death was announced, I only felt a buzzing sound in my head. Then my mind went blank. I didn't believe that she would leave me like this. I thought that I still had a way, since the Permitha, holy water, could save me. It could save her. But when she saved me, she gave me all the water in the bottle. In this world, there was no more Permitha, holy water. I needed time to study the large amount of literature on the Permitha, holy water. It was a good thing that Wang Meng had left behind a lot of information on advancement, so I had time to study it. I secretly took her body and built an underground ice cellar. Then I used my previous power to officially establish Muqing. Thinking of Muqing, thinking of this life. I will always miss her. I will do my best to bring her back to life. But the time it took to study the Permitha, holy water, far surpassed my expectations. I thought that I would be able to see her in a few days, but I never thought that after 15 years, I still wouldn't see her. Too slow, really too slow. If double the number of people could shorten the time it would take for her to wake up, I would definitely do it. I know that what I'm doing is very cruel. I know that I'm the devil and will go to the 18th level of hell. I know that I'm crazy. That's right. I'm crazy. I'm probably crazy. Only a madman would do such a thing. But why? Why can't I exchange my endless reincarnation for her safety? As I lay dying, I kept thinking about what I had done wrong for God to punish me like this. The memories of our reincarnations slowly flooded in my mind. We've known each other for a long time. We've loved each other for a long time, and we've separated again and again. Pain seemed to have become a habit. The recovery of my memory reminded me of things from a long time ago. That seemed to be the scene of our first meeting. Although it was very hazy, I knew that those memories were real. Me and her, a story from 30,000 years ago. Ding, congratulations on bringing a soul fragment into the lead god space. 80 out of 100. Chapter 3946. Welcome back, host. Luo Qingchun. She was back. Just what happened? Does the host want to see the scene of yourself dying? Yes/no. Yes. Very much. It's a bit long. The host needs to be prepared. All right. Scenes that were like movie clips flashed in front of her eyes, and the more she looked, the more sad she felt. She felt that Big Brother Jiusheng leaving her each time was a very painful thing for her. But now that she saw Du Jiusheng being abandoned, she understood that perhaps this was what endless despair and pain looked like. Du Jiusheng left first, and she could return to the chaos space after finishing everything, waiting for the next time to meet him. At least, in her world, she still had something to look forward to. She still had expectations in her heart. Du Jiusheng's 15 years were just a few hours in the system, but she felt an inexplicable pain in her heart, and when she came back to her senses, her face was already covered in tears. When will I reach the end? Her eyes trembled. This was her first time crying in the chaos space. I feel that. I can't hold on any longer. After experiencing so many disturbances, after experiencing thousands of years of time, he had finally come to a decision. There was bitterness and sweetness, but in the end, it was all because she was with him, which was the only comfort left. After thousands of years of experience, she seemed to understand some things. 30,000 years ago, they must have done something that angered the heavens to have this kind of ending. She just wanted to see the end. Even if they turned to ashes, there should be an end. The host will know the truth soon, as long as the host seriously completes the mission. AI, you've been with me for all these years, and your tone hasn't changed. You just have people complete missions every day. The host doesn't want to know what happened between you and Du Jiusheng. I do. She narrowed her eyes. But I'm looking forward to the future. No matter what outrageous things they had done back then, the price they had to pay was even greater. Next mission. The following is the summary of the host's mission. Name: Luo Qingchen Plain Space. Confusing. You are the only light. Mission completion rate: 100% EXP. 8,500/10,000 currently. There are 5 items in the portable space. 4/5 exquisite ring. 9-section moon whip. Phoenix dance sword. Universal medicine box. Permanent ability. Space and time freeze. LV7 permanent ability. Teleport level 6 permanent ability. Telekinesis LV3 exchange points. 4, 500. Obtained a special ability bestowed by the Lord God. One time. Can be used in any plane. The host's 60th mission panel is below. Appearance: 99 out of 100 stamina. 99 out of 100 intelligence. 99 out of 100 figure. 99 out of 100 in the next second. The image in the bronze mirror changed. Mission level: SSS, experience gained. 500 female lead. Luo Qingchen male lead. Feng Qi supporting female lead. Ning Shuixin supporting male lead. Song Qinghan, mission details. Make the supporting male lead regret. Make the supporting male lead regret. Make the supporting male lead regret. 3 key points. Looks like the original owner of this story must have hated the male lead. When the host receives all the memories, she will know that it is natural for her to hate the male lead. Really? Yes. The memories are currently being sent. Please accept them, host. Luo Qingchen used a long time to accept the memories of the original owner of this story because she had experienced many planes. This was her first time feeling a kind of sadness that seeped into her bones. That was because she calculated everything to be by your side, but she was covered in wounds from love. Chapter 39:47. One of the identities of the previous host was the daughter of the Song Kingdom's general. Everyone knew that she was the princess of the kingdom. She had a beauty that could cause the downfall of the city. Coupled with General Luo's status in the imperial court, many people came to propose marriage when she reached the age of 20. However, she didn't agree. There was a rumor that Luo Qingchen had become mute after recovering from serious illness. She felt that she wasn't good enough for the people in the court and refused all the marriages. However, that wasn't the case. Even if she couldn't speak, with her beauty and General Luo's position in the court, she could marry anyone in her life and live a peaceful life. She was waiting for someone. She was waiting for someone whom she had wrongly given her heart to 10 years ago. There were 3 countries in the world. Other than the Song Kingdom, there was the Feng Kingdom and the Wu Kingdom. The Wu Kingdom had a secret technique called the body reconstruction technique. If a person wanted to look like a person, he only needed to drink a mixture of the person's blood and talisman water. After B's death, it would become day by day, slowly becoming it. No matter if it was the voice, appearance, or temperament. The previous host's real identity was the witch of the Wu Kingdom. However, when she was 15, a young man gave birth to her under the claws of a cheetah. Since then, she had an obsession. Marrying him, marrying him, marrying him. However, she knew that the person who was good enough for the young man couldn't be a witch of the Wu Kingdom, because he was the 4th prince of the Song Kingdom, Song Qinghan. Although he wasn't the crown prince, Song Qinghan had worked hard since he was young. His mother was the favorite of the Song dynasty's emperor and was the favorite concubine in the harem. The previous host knew that if she wanted to be Song Qinghan's wife, she had to be from the Song dynasty. The only person she had wronged or killed in her life was General Luo's real daughter. Perhaps it couldn't be counted as killing, but she couldn't be saved although General Luo's daughter had the beauty of Qingchen. Her health wasn't good since she was young. Her life was in danger before she reached marriageable age. The general had no choice but to seek help from the leader of the Wu Kingdom. It was rumored that the witch of the Wu Kingdom was proficient in medicine. She could even bring the dead back to life with a golden needle. General Luo had no choice but to take the risk and send her to the Wu Kingdom. From the moment the original owner saw this woman, she knew that she couldn't be her, because she was the daughter of a general of the Song dynasty, and because she had the opportunity to stand beside that man. In order to prevent General Luo from staying in the Wu Kingdom, the host said that she needed a year to cure her. During this year, no one was allowed to disturb him. General Luo agreed. The medicine she gave her could not save her life. Instead, it would worsen her condition. The original owner would never be able to forget the way she struggled on the sickbed. In fact, even if she didn't use this secret technique, General Luo's daughter would still die. She would only live for a few more months. However, her arrival in the Magus Empire had only hastened her death. The host used a year to replace Luo Qingxin. From then on, she was Luo Qingxin, and the story had only just begun. The second male lead, Song Qinghan's mother, was actually from the Wu Kingdom. Not only that, she was also the previous witch. In the past, the Wu people were defeated by the Song dynasty. After losing 4 cities in a row, the Wu Kingdom submitted a letter of surrender. They voluntarily became a vassal state of the Song dynasty, hoping that the Wu Kingdom wouldn't disappear from the world. At that time, the witch of the Wu Kingdom, who was Song Qinghan's mother, was sacrificed to the Song dynasty as a gift. Chapter 39:48. However, that was because Yining was young and hot-blooded. She, who already had someone in her heart, gave her virginity to her lover the night before she left. That night, she got pregnant with Song Qinghan. Therefore, Song Qinghan was not the son of the Song Emperor. He was the son of Yining and an unknown man in the Wu Kingdom. No one knew about this except for the original owner. Once a witch turned red, the next witch would sense it. Therefore, every witch in the Wu Kingdom was chosen by the gods. Once the witch turned red, the next witch would inherit the throne. At the same time, the next witch would also be the first to know about this matter. The original owner was shocked. The entire Wu Kingdom knew that Yining was going to be given to the Song Emperor as a gift. There was only one possibility for her to turn red at this time. Yining knew that the original owner knew about this and immediately went to find her. At that time, the original owner was only 5 years old. However, the people of the Wu Kingdom lived 300 years longer than ordinary people. However, they were more mature than ordinary people, and their beauty was eternal. Sister Witch, who did you do it with? You don't need to know. You just need to keep a secret for me. Otherwise, I won't let you and your family off. After a long time, the original owner nodded. I won't tell you. The original owner answered seriously, but Yining did not believe her. After she married into the Song Kingdom, she used witchcraft to make Song Qinghan be born a month earlier. Actually, he was born at full term, but everyone thought he was born prematurely. However, that was not the case. Days passed. To Yining, the existence of the original owner was a hidden danger in her heart. Therefore, she wanted to send someone to kill her. However, the cheetah pounced on the original owner. Song Qinghan appeared. He gave birth to her under the cheetah's claws. Perhaps that was the true beginning of the story. After that, the original owner investigated Song Qinghan and found out that he was the son of the witch, Yining. She also found out that he was not the son of the Song Emperor. Yining soon found out about the original owner's investigation of Song Qinghan. She returned to the Wu Kingdom with the excuse of a visit. However, she found that the original owner was no longer in the Wu Kingdom. At that time, the original owner of the body had already used the body reconstruction technique to transform into General Song's daughter. Yining and the original host met at an inn where the original host was about to arrive at the Song dynasty. Why do you want to investigate Qinghan? Why did he come to the Song Kingdom? Why did you use the witch's forbidden technique to become like this? Her 3 questions seem to have entered the heart of the original owner. Because I love him and I want to stay by his side. Her voice was very pleasant to hear. Although it was still a little weak, it was as clear as a jade stream flowing through spring. Who do you love? Song Qinghan. I don't believe it. If the witch of the Magus Empire used the body remodeling technique, she would definitely be punished by the heavenly gods and suffer retribution. She didn't believe that the original owner of the body would use a forbidden technique because he liked Song Qinghan. Only an idiot would do such a thing. Then what do I have to do to make Sister Witch believe me? The host knew that Yining wouldn't believe her. After so many years, Yining had schemed to climb from a gift to her current position. However, she knew the secret that could push her and Song Qinghan to the 18th level of hell in a single night. If she had stayed in the Wu kingdom, Yining might have given up after failing to assassinate her a few times. However, if she came to the Song country with the identity of General Luo's daughter, it would be like keeping a deadly poison by Yin Ying's side. Chapter 3949. This poison could kill her and her son at any moment. No, she definitely couldn't. She had schemed for so many years, she definitely couldn't let this happen. Unless you can never say a single word, then I'll believe you. The previous host's expression didn't change at all. She only looked deeply at Yining and then indifferently nodded. Prepare the thing. I'll be a mute for the rest of my life. Yining was stunned. Although she had some thoughts in her heart, she still prepared the poison for the previous host in the end. The poison that would turn her into a mute. When she handed it to her, she drank it without another word. Because she knew that if she didn't drink the poison, Yining wouldn't let her get close to Song Qinghan. Even if she was General Luo's daughter, she would do everything she could to stop her. In order to make Yining feel assured, in order to let her go to Song Qinghan's side, the previous host felt it was worth it. She thought that this was the punishment for using the forbidden technique of the Witch Kingdom, the body reconstruction technique. But later she found out that she was really too naive. This was only the beginning, it wasn't the end. When the previous host married Song Qinghan, it was a snowy day. He held her hand as they stood in the snow, his eyes filled with gentleness. But she knew that he had already forgotten about her. In the past, he had already forgotten how he had saved her from the cheetah. On the wedding night, she had written a line of words on his palm. Why did you marry me? You clearly had a better choice. She knew that she was very stupid when she asked this question. Even if she wasn't a member of the court, she knew why Song Qinghan had chosen a mute out of all the beautiful and sweet women to be his wife. It was because she was the daughter of a Song dynasty general, so she could become Song Qinghan's wife. She knew everything, but she still wanted to ask, even if it was her. Because when I look at you, I feel like I've seen you before. Hearing Song Qinghan say this, the previous host smiled. Her smile was so bright and sweet. At that time, she thought that everything she did was worth it, because she felt so happy, like she was floating. Silly, what are you laughing at? Song Qinghan looked at her and said, Do you know how to serve your husband? She paused and shook her head. She was not clear about the matters between men and women. Then you sleep first. Song Qinghan looked at her and said, Tomorrow, I'll let the mama in the mansion teach you. The original owner was stunned for a moment, her eyes filled with disappointment. However, he still nodded. She didn't know why Song Qinghan didn't want to have sex with her, but she gradually understood because he didn't want to have children with her. They couldn't do it as husband and wife. Since she married Song Qinghan, General Luo was his man. But in recent years, because the Song dynasty was gradually not as good as the Feng dynasty, General Luo's position in the court was declining day by day. He didn't need the Luo family, but the Luo family was not his last choice. It was just a stepping stone on his path to success. A year after the host married him, Song Qinghan officially replaced the crown prince and ascended the throne the next year. Before he ascended the throne, he said a few words to her. General Luo passed away last year. Now, Prime Minister Ning has the highest position in the court. I need to marry the Prime Minister's daughter and make her my empress. Song Qinghan looked at her and said, Shui Xian is a daughter of a noble family. She has a gentle temperament. She won't embarrass you. She was startled and wrote on his palm, What about me? You can still be the same as before, but the palace you live in may be far away. I'm afraid she won't be happy. Chapter 3950. This kind of answer made the heart of the original owner very uncomfortable, but she couldn't say anything. Even if she had thousands of words in her heart, she couldn't say a word, because she was a mute who poisoned herself. And all of this was because she knew too much about Song Qinghan and Yin Ying's secrets. But so what? She loved Song Qinghan so much. How could she tell his secrets and betray him? If she had the slightest intention of betraying him, she wouldn't have poisoned herself before coming to the Song dynasty. But in the end, Ying didn't believe her, and Song Qinghan didn't believe her. The first day the original owner moved into the cold palace, Ning Shui Xian moved into the Weiyang Palace. She was in charge of the harem, in charge of the Weiyang Palace. She knew that this queen would have a meteoric rise, but she didn't think that this queen didn't want to let her go. Even if Ning Shui Xian knew that Song Qinghan didn't have the original owner in his heart, she still cared. She cared that the original owner was his first woman. So, the original owner didn't have a good life after moving into the cold palace. Ning Shui Xian wasn't as gentle as Song Qinghan said, so she wouldn't make things difficult for her. Facts prove that she made things difficult for her for more than one or two things. It was almost equal to inhuman abuse. But the original owner endured it. She used so much effort and even killed people just to stay by his side. She thought that he would always be able to see her infatuation with him. After a long time, she could feel his good. But it wasn't like that. Song Qinghan could see her good, but he always turned a blind eye. You can't wake up a person who pretends to be asleep, and you can't move a blind person. Don't be afraid that a man doesn't love you, but he greedily enjoys your good, but still doesn't love you. This was a relationship between Song Qinghan and the original owner. The original owner was left with only sadness. The days in the cold palace were like years. There wasn't even leftover food. Sometimes there wasn't even a rotten bun. She became thinner day by day. After a long time, she was almost using her youthful body to consume her life. And it was a double consumption. One spring, due to the Magus Empire's Magus Maiden having disappeared for a long time, the next Magus Maiden was unable to inherit the throne. Therefore, the Magus Empire found Yining. At this time, Yining had just stabilized the harem, and Song Qinghan had just stabilized his throne. She felt rather uneasy that someone from the Wu Empire would come looking for her at this time. She immediately thought of the original owner, who was still in the cold palace, and felt that this matter must have something to do with her. That afternoon, she came to the cold palace to interrogate the original host. "Did you say something to the Wu Empire? Tell me the truth." The original owner of the body fell to his knees and shook his head desperately. Her body was very weak, as if she was only left with bones. When she knelt on the ground, the sound of her joints cracking could be heard. "If it wasn't for you, why would the Sorcerer Empire ask me about the witch?" Yining glared at her fiercely and said, "Originally, I thought that since we are both from the Wu Kingdom, even if you knew the king's secret, I would still let you live a carefree life. But now, it seems that I can't keep you." Live a carefree life? She didn't know why, but when she heard these words, the original host found it very funny. Ever since she married Song Qinghan, she had never lived a carefree life. Never. This year in the cold palace had almost tortured her to death. Yes, she was dying. Transmigration female lead. Male god, keep teasing transmigration female lead. Male god, keep teasing. Chapter 39:51. But it seemed that Yining didn't want her to die naturally, but wanted to send her off personally. "Someone come." The host panicked and immediately took out a pen and paper to write a line. Her hands were trembling. The line of words wasn't very nice. "Let me see him. If you want me to die, I will die." Yining frowned as she looked at the original owner of the body. She was moved by her side profile. When she was the same age as her, she was also obsessed with the word love. But thinking about it later, how ridiculous it was. The man who made her bleed, she had already killed him. If it wasn't for him, she wouldn't have to live in fear in song all these years. She was afraid that her matter would be exposed. She was afraid that Song Qinghan's hard-won throne would be in vain. The so-called love was just a joke compared to power. After an hour, Song Qinghan and Ning Shui Xian had sex and then came to the cold palace. At that time, the host had been kneeling on the ground for more than an hour. He glanced at her for a moment before looking at Yining and saying, "She's a mute. Is Imperial Mother worrying too much? She just can't speak. It doesn't mean that she can't write. She can still write and tell her secret." Yining frowned and said, "Son, we worked so hard to get the Song dynasty. We can't ruin it because of this woman. In this world, only the mouth of the dead is the most strict." Song Qinghan was silent for a long time. He narrowed his eyes and said, "Break her hands and drive her out of the palace tomorrow." Yining was stunned. After a long time, she nodded and said, "Okay." In fact, She didn't understand why it was tomorrow, but it was only one day later. It didn't matter. After a long while, the servants brought the 10-finger splints from the palace and used the punishment on the host. The 10 fingers were connected to the heart. In addition, the host's body was weak. The moment the splints were put, she spat out a mouthful of blood. Her face turned pale instantly. Her eyes sunk, and she fainted. "Do you need to wake her up?" the servant asked. "No need," Song Qinghan said. Although the host was unconscious during the execution, she still couldn't breathe because of the pain. It was as if all the strength in her body had been drained. It was as if she would step into the gates of hell in the next second. She didn't know how long had passed. She felt that she couldn't exert any strength. Even the feeling of pain was almost gone. Her breathing was like a gossamer thread. It was probably referring to her. That night, Song Qinghan drank a lot and walked to the cold palace. When the original owner heard the sound, Song Qinghan directly pushed her down. She was shocked. She wanted to resist, but found that she only had enough strength to open her eyes wide. Her bones made cracking sounds. "Why are you shocked? Why do you want to resist?" She pursed her lips tightly and didn't say a word. She only gasped for air. Right now, it was as if she would have to pant for a long time if she moved even a little. Song Qinghan looked at her shocked face and used all his strength to imprison her and kiss her lips. In the next second, she spat out a mouthful of blood and fainted. In the end, Song Qinghan didn't continue. He carefully looked at her body. There wasn't a single place that was intact. Her breathing was very weak. It was as if it would stop in the next second. "This servant is here. Call the imperial doctor. I will personally send her out of the palace tomorrow." Transmigration female lead. Male god, keep teasing transmigration female lead. Male god, keep teasing. Chapter 3952. Song Qinghan probably knew that her body wasn't well, but he didn't know it was this bad. He thought that she would be fine after taking some medicine, but at that time, the original owner's body was already incurable. It wasn't something that could be cured with just 1 or 2 bowls of medicine. The imperial physician was very surprised when he took her pulse. After being a doctor for so many years, he had never seen someone who was tortured to such a state. It was as if a gust of wind could blow her away. After the imperial physician treated the original owner for 2 hours, he ordered the medicine boy beside him to put on some rouge and powder for the original owner to make her complexion look better. The concubines in the cold palace around Fangzheng were going to leave the palace today. In order to prevent anything from happening, he had to take responsibility. It was better to be careful. Everyone thought that the original owner had safely left the palace, but the truth was that the moment she left the palace, she stopped breathing. That broken body of hers was something that she couldn't hold on for much longer. The reason why she waited until she left the palace was purely to fulfill the promise she once made. She wanted to come to the country of song. She wanted to enter the palace of song. She wanted to stay by his side until the last moment of her life, unless she died. In fact, after the original owner died, because of her identity as a witch, she always had a chance to meet God. However, she gave up on this opportunity and allowed herself to completely disappear from this world. After Luo Qingshun received the original owner's memories, all sorts of feelings welled up in her heart. She wanted to say something, but she found that she couldn't move at all. She felt as light as a swallow. This was a very strange feeling that she had never felt before. System, come out. If this isn't a special plane, please don't play dead. Okay? What does the host want to know? Why can't I move? Moreover, it's pitch black in front of me. I can't see anything. Because the world the host came to is a moment after the original owner died. Wait. What did you say after death? Are you sure you aren't teasing me? Luo Qingshun said that she could understand that the SSS plane was difficult, but she had to go back in time to the original owner's death. Her death meant that there was no point in her coming here. Did the host forget? You have one chance to meet God. Oh, and can I meet him now? Yes. Luo Qingshun thought that the so-called God would be an old man with a long white beard, but she didn't expect it to be a handsome man wearing a light blue robe. Your God. Luo Qingshun looked at him with a look of confusion. She blinked and revealed a look of disbelief. You really are the Lord of Hell? I've heard of you. He looked at her eyebrows, assessed. Lord of Hell. T-test-test, T-T-T, T-S-T-T, T-T-T-est, T-S. So you T-T-T-T. Since it's like this, I'll speak frankly. Luo Qingchen narrowed her eyes. What can you give me? T-T-T is est, all right. If stiest, how could have said the words the original owner couldn't? She had never lost before, so she would never back down. I don't want the original owner's body. All right,